Um, Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to African Business Month. My name is George Yusuf, and I will be your host for today. We have lined up with great speakers and exhibitors for our show today, and we hope you guys will have a great time. Just want to shout out to all our viewers on all platforms. Really do appreciate you guys having the time to be part of us here. First off, we are going to be introducing an exhibitor, um, Dr. Olusola Olowokere. He is a consultant for psychiatric forensic medical examiner and also a CEO for Gray Insights Mental Health Professional. Welcome, Mr. Sola. Welcome, Dr.
Hi, good
Sola.
afternoon. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much. So I will put you on the floor and you will tell us what you do, what you can offer the African country, continent, and around the world.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. And a bit about myself. I'm
Yes,
a
sir.
consultant psychiatrist and a keen mental health advocate. And I run a platform called Gray Insights, which is something I've been working on over the last 4 years. And it's finally effective and up and running over the last 2 years with good outcomes. Um, as a form of background, we've had a very difficult year. Not no thanks to COVID and how it has affected everybody's emotions, the way we work, the way we live, and I've identified that this has significantly impacted a lot of people. Being a Nigerian myself and growing up in Nigeria, I understand the difficulty and challenges that people experience. And the fact that we've not been brought up in a way to talk about our emotions. We've suffered in silence. There's a lot of stigma around issues of emotional and mental well-being. So this is impacted on how people function and how people live their life. You see a lot of people suffering from depression, anxiety, and issues like that, but they are not able to get help that they require. This is what led me to establishing Gray Insights, which is a platform whereby you can screen yourself for common problems like anxiety, depression. Just once you have an access to the internet, you go on the website and we can give you a test code we can use to check if you're suffering from either anxiety and depression. And then someone will be at the end of the phone to speak to you to provide psychological support. Um, we've tried it in the last 2 years within the corporate world, but this year we're taking it further to try it beyond EAP to say even common men on the street, me and you, school students, university students, public sector workers, even people from the low income society, they can, as long as they have access to internet or computer, they can screen themselves. And this screening is the first step in getting help. So it is very, very, very important. And also, apart from this, what we also do is we do a lot of awareness, educating people, providing information. Because, as I said, in the context of Africa, a lot of people have suffered in silence. And when they hear the word mental health, they are thinking of the people who are walking naked on the streets, who are on camps and all. But we are educating people and saying, even right from problems with poor sleep, anxiety, addiction, all these are mental, fall under the remit of mental health, and help is readily available if you are able to. Although we're still all waiting for this massive investment from our government. But how long are we going to wait for? We need to start doing things ourselves and creating that platform, that support network amongst ourselves, and support each other, educate each other. And hopefully, one day, the government will hear us and they will understand that there is a lot of need within this category. If you look at the impact of COVID already, we're still going to, in 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're still going to be talking about the impact because a lot of people have suffered job losses and things like that. And all this affects emotional and mental well-being. So that is what my platform is about. It helps people to identify these problems, and also they will be able to get help when required. At the moment, it is functional in Nigeria, and we're getting into Ghana. We're hoping to spread it across all Africa, but it is still accessible anywhere in the world. If you have access to internet and all, you'll be able to make use of this. I'm just going to see if I can do a little bit of demo on the website so that people listening can watch, can see. Let me see if I can. Can you see my screen? Let me see.
Yes, we can see your screen. We can see your screen.
Which one can you see? Can you see this one of the gray insights, right?
Yes, we can.
You can see. Okay, you saw the one of gray insights that I showed now.
It just went off now.
Okay, I took it off. Sorry.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna. So, can you see gray insights now?
Yes, we can see that now.
Okay, so I'm just going to take you through a bit of what we have on the website, which shows the services, specialist service, seminars, intervention, online screening. This is the very, very important part, which is easier for a lot of people. So a lot of people can, if you want to check if you have anxiety or depression or things like that, you can just come on this link. I can share the link on the platform later, but it's good for people to see this, to see how it works.
That will be lovely.
Hello? I'm just.
All right. That is, yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. I just want to show it just brief.
It's nice. We do appreciate.
So tests like this, we can. This can screen for anxiety and depression, and it will help people to identify where the problem is. And we have things even up. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Are you trying to say something? Hello?
Yes. No, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. You broke up there, but
that's no problem. That's no problem. So we will get back to you, and we'll have time to
Judge, I can't hear you. It looks like you're breaking up. Okay, I think Judge is off. So I'll just continue to talk about is if people are able to identify the problems, then they can get the desired solution. And most of this intervention are psychological based. For example, if someone is suffering from anxiety or depression, psychological intervention, therapies can help. So I don't want people thinking that once there's a mental disorder, it automatically means medication. No, some will require medication, but majority of people just need someone to talk to, therapy, counseling, and things like this will be very, very effective. And this platform can give you the access to that.
All right, no problem. That's great, sir. That's great. It's nice. It's nice. It's a great development, and we're looking forward to people to part in this. And we'll be sharing the link later on to our viewers. But we will be moving on to the next speaker, Mr. Paloma Suma. who is um, Executive Director and of Foundation for Development, Food Security and Banking on AFCFTA. And we will be having him on board to talk about food security and banking on AFCFTA and what it is, what it means to farmers. Mr. Taloma, are you there? Hello? Okay, seems we're having problems to our next speaker. Can you hear me, Dr. So?
Yes. George.
Hello?
Hello, George. Hello, George. George.
You can hear me?
Yes. Afternoon.
Hello?
Hello, George.
It's your audio. It's we can't hear you. It's kind of bass like.
Hello, George. Hello.
Dr. Kunto.
George, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you, Mr. Kunto. Can you hear me,
Okay.
sir?
Afternoon. Yeah. Yeah, George.
Okay, Mr. Kunto, please, can you introduce yourself to us?
Yeah. So, my name is Kuto Julius. I'm a lecturer. I teach African studies, and that is my area of expertise,
Seems
basically
like
history.
we are having something.
You still can't hear me? Hello.
We'll bring him back on board. So I think we'll bring someone else, a speaker. Hello, Taloma. Can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Taloma. Hello. Um, since we're having technical issue, um, So we will take a short break now, and we'll be back.
Greetings, people. Greetings, family. More love and blissfulness to all you beautiful lights of the world. All praises to the Most High, the Mother and Father of all things. Thank you all for joining me. I am Ababa Lumumba Dalton David Lawrence, otherwise known as D Carbon. I am the proud creator of this lovely herbal drink called the Body Messiah here in the UK. It's been doing wonders for the people of the country and all over the world, people that order it, and I ship it all over the place, and everybody that's drunk it has had nothing but good to say about it because of the health benefits that they've got. So on the 1st of November, I will be doing a little presentation for the ABM, the African Business Month Conference, and I'll be elaborating more on the Body Messiah, the herbs that it contains, and as a self-employed, owning my own business, I'll elaborate more on the freedom and how you feel with the freedom of owning your own business and dealing with things on a level understanding and overstanding to what your expectations are, instead of having some kind of boss over you and all the rest of it. And we can tie the herbs into the whole Pan-African movement with Marcus Garvey and the Black Cross nurses. If y'all don't know, the Black Cross nurses were nurses that was tied in with the Garveyitism, and they was going out there helping people out with health from the community, you know what I'm saying? And I think this had to do it came off of the whole yellow fever pandemic as well. So yeah, showing how Pan-Africanism, how Garveyitism ties in with the herbal elements of what we need, because this temple, 100 trillion plus cells that make this temple up, resonates with nothing but what the Most High says, the herbs, the healing of the nation. Yeah, so D-Carbon again. See you all on the 31st. Glad to be here, and much love and respect again to all the organizers of the ABM, the African Business Month Conference. See you all on the 1st of November. Much love.
I'm inside. Hello? Hello?
Dr. Akonto. Dr. Akonto.
Yeah, afternoon.
How is the day going over?
It's well and good in Accra, the capital of Ghana.
Okay. So we have you on the show to business events and activities that have been happening in Africa, and we want your input, what you think might move the development of Africa on business industry. If you have anything to say, sir. First of all, we'd love to hear more about you. Introduce yourself to the viewers.
Okay. So can you hear me? Amin. Hello, Amin. Do you hear me clear?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So my name is Akoto Julius. I teach African studies at the University of Ghana. I am. Hello. Yeah. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I teach African history and African studies, which blend itself with African philosophy and or African philosophical thought. So that's basically what who I am. Um, yeah, it is imperative, if not instructive, for us to have
Yes.
African Business Month. Um, to dive a bit into the older days prior to the colonial advent, we've all studied how the trans-Saharan trade
Yes.
um, used to bind the whole of Africa together. It tied Africa together until that trade was, hitherto replaced by the transatlantic slave trade. And then borders were put um, as posts to demarcate and to re-engineer the African society. So, for example, Africa, the Gold Coast or the now Ghana used to be the same, habitation for Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and the West African sub-region in general. So it is prudent for us to go back to those days and to revisit those landmarks and see how best we can forge our continent forward as a people, right? I mean, hello. I mean, so it is important for us to hold that particular precedent and antecedent in our history very, very dear to ourselves. Um, so by the 1900s, Europeans had taken over, saying that they were atoning for the sins of their forefathers and replacing the slave trade with legitimate trade, so-called, which was more or less a re-engineering of the system to better their lot, because then they introduced a new wave of movement where Africans were to be producing palm oil, for example, for their benefit. So these all inure to their benefit and not to us. And our continent is still languishing, lingering around. But what we need to do now is to re-engineer the system in both space and time, because now the world is within both space and time, as we are witnessing now. We are in space, okay, through the internet facilities and others. So the thing is, how do we connect ourselves to our kinsmen and brothers and sisters in the so-called cartographically designed or Sparta designed um, institution of the idea of diaspora? I actually don't see anything diaspora. I think that what I see is that we should be able to link up ourselves on the continent and beyond the continent. It is very paramount. So it is particularly inciting and very, very, very intriguing for us to have this African Business Month linking ourselves together. Business does not necessarily mean that we should have some, you know, great industries, etc. But even when we meet as on personal level, share ideas, link up, forge ahead of, of, of our country and our society, then it is all about business because ideas are colorless and odorless. They travel between time and beyond time. So that is the little bit I have to say about the African Business Month. It is instructive. It is paramount. For example, if you take the reason why the the Jewish people could, link up and bond so much so strongly, to the extent that by the 1948 they had formed a nation. Hitherto, when they were scattered all over the world, is because of their ideas, how they link up together, how they forge together. And the Jew doesn't care traveling miles to acquire the property of the same, kingsman. So money easily doesn't get out of their hands as compared to the Africans who, really don't pay much attention to some of these nitty-gritty issues. So we need to be together, and that is how we can let our continent rise as a people. It is the people that make up the continent, the connectivity of our ideas, the connectivity of our thoughts, and how these thoughts, bear fruit, materialize into concrete agenda setting for us as a people is what we should be interested in. That is the essence of Pan-Africanism. The word pan means collectivity. It has to do with collective sense of belonging because that was the word that our forebears used in fighting the, you know, the imperialists during the slave era. Right? It is not because they so-called abolished the slavery. No, it was because the Africans decided that they would fight, the European teeth and nail. And they did that using the idea of the pan concept. And that is what we must do. Until we do that, our value and our pride as a people would always be at the lowest apex. And that is what they are interested in. So for me, we welcome Business Month, and we should do all our best to invest our time, our money, and ourselves into it, and make it a grand one. So I am foreseeing that it will be a grand one. I am foreseeing that we will have everybody, wherever you find yourself on planet Earth and beyond, if possible, to to bring out ideas, concrete ideas for us to build our continent and our race together as we forge ahead. All right. So that is what I can say for now. If there's any other thing I can add. George. Hello, George. Hello, George.
We did enjoy what you had to give, and very sure our viewers could. Um, Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, George.
Yes, yes.
Hello,
Thank you for
George.
your time. We really do appreciate this. Um, we're moving on to our next speaker. But hello, I can hear you. Well, we will be taking a break now. Thank you, Mr. Koto Julius. We really do appreciate this. It was nice having you aboard. We'll be having a short break now, and we'll be back with a speaker to discuss more.
All right, thank you.
I'm living good, I'm living great. Everything I do in the first place. I'm living good, I'm living great. Everything I do.
Hi. Ever wonder why? Let me tell you why when I wake up every day to come to work, I wake up with joy and happiness knowing that I'm going to the most beautiful place in the world. That's Splash of Africa. The reason why I go with joy there is because it's my own business. And because it's my own business, I take a lot of joy, not only in owning my own business and being responsible for myself and only answering to myself, but also I get to show people in Scandinavia the beauty about the culture of Africa and its products and services. Owning one's business is one of the best things you can do for yourself because it makes you self-reliant, it makes you independent, and basically it makes you happier so that you're working for yourself. So I would advise all our African youth, young couples, if you can, try to do something for yourself, try to build something that can make you proud and make your community, your family, and your friends proud. This is Edwina at Splash of Africa.
Hello, greetings everyone. The host had some technical difficulties. This is Daniel Mambono, the president of African Business Month. George, can you hear me? If you cannot hear me, then I'm going to introduce the next speaker, Benjamin Anyagre, who's the executive director of Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute, and he's going to speak about Pan-Africanism and how we can use Pan-Africanism to promote African businesses, the relationship between Pan-Africanism and the African businessman.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Hello?
hear you. I can hear you.
Please introduce yourself and welcome to African Businessman.
Okay. Thank you very much and good afternoon. It is a privilege to be here to share some few thoughts on the role of Pan-Africanism and empowering African through business. This is an important topic that greatly contributes to the debate towards economic prosperity of the African people home and in the diaspora. And we see this topic also to be aiming at empowering the African, within the context of lifting the African personality through entrepreneurship, where Africans home and in diaspora are urged to bring their expertise, experiences, and professional acumen within the context of economic theories and concepts to bear on the development of our people. Interestingly, before we go further, I would like to draw our attention to this important picture that the Berlin Conference of 1884 was basically a business conference by the imperial powers to partition Africa into influential zone, basically for economic purposes. And the economic purposes we can talk about is about exploiting the raw materials and cheap labor of our continent. And so the partitioning of Africa, like I said, was basically a business-like agenda by the imperial powers. Now, with time, we've had prominent and great African leaders who have tried in various means and ways to reverse that thinking. And the whole idea has been for Africans to repossess what belongs to them and then use their resources for the benefit of her people. And this actually took shape during the 1945 Fifth Pan-African Congress in Manchester, where the agenda was rolled in terms of the total liberation of the African continent. Now, it went further with the 1950s and early 60s All African People's Conferences, which actually was politically oriented. It led to many African states gaining their independence. The next step was the search for economic independence. Hello? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you.
The next was economic independence, the search for economic independence. And then I will take the example of our first president, who during his administration established many industries and factories to process the raw materials of our land into finished goods. The policy was import substitution. Instead of we importing, these factories were meant to produce finished goods to replace whatever we're importing. And that in itself was something very good to improve upon the economic growth of our country then. But I want all of us to understand one important thing. When he was doing all these things, the actors of the Berlin Conference and their surrogates kept on watching, because the import substitution policy was geared towards the total economic emancipation of our country. And remember, all the projects carried by our first president were Pan-African oriented, as he declared during the independence, then the independence of Ghana was meaningless unless it was linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. These actors of the Berlin Conference and their imperial surrogates did everything possible to stop the administration of our first president. And why did they do that? They did that with the intention to dismantle all the industries and factories established during his reign, because they knew that actually we were heading towards economic emancipation. When they did that, they brought their puppets in to mismanage the resources, to sell out all these, many of these state-owned enterprises. It is important for all of us to understand something, that kind of wind blew not only in Ghana, but across the continent. I want all of us to come to terms, but the actors of the Berlin Conference of 1884 have always been smart. They have a plan, a strategic plan. They are always working towards it. What did they do? Knowing very well of a potential explosion in Africa because of the backward situation of our people, what did they do? They started with some kind of series of interventionist initiatives. And we are all aware of the Lomé Convention of 1985, the Structural Adjustment Program, the Lagos Plan of Action, African Economic Community programs, the Yamoussoukro Agreement, the Cotonou Agreement, the UN Millennium Summit of Africa in the year 2000, NEPAT, an African Development Forum, and many more. But it is also, with all these interventionist initiatives, it is clear that there has never, they've not produced any positive outcomes which reflects on the faces of our people and nations. It is clear. They have failed woefully. Now, it is time for Africans to introspect and extrospect ourselves. That the political struggle now, which has been going on, have consistently had some kind of counter mechanisms from the West. So what do? We now have to move from the political Pan-African struggle to what we call economic Pan-African struggle.
Now that's absolutely an important point, because you realize that for the last 100 years, it has been about the political struggle. But this political struggle has not led us to the economic struggle and the economic emancipation, which is the most important thing. And as you said about the Berlin Conference, it was a business conference where they shared the natural resources of Africa among themselves.
Yes.
So what can we do to overcome these colonial boundaries? Completely dismantle them so that we establish an economic system which includes all Africans and goes beyond the colonial barriers.
Yes, my brother Daniel, in order for we Africans to take back what belongs to us, it is appropriate that the African businessmen and women currently in Africa begin to eschew ego, selfishness, and etc., to establish a common African business platform to engage and then begin to share experiences which will in itself connect the potential opportunities that we have on the continent in order to see how best we can change the situation that we find ourselves. The struggle, my brother Daniel, the struggle is all about the survival of our people and the new image of Africa. And the new image of Africa. And the survival is based on the provision of the basic needs of life, such as clothes, food, and shelter. And when we come to food, we must all understand that agriculture creates the basis for industrialization. And once you industrialize, you create jobs, you take care of unemployment, it leads to happy life, your GDP and all of that begins to grow, and you have enough resources to grow your infrastructure. When you come to shelter, we need to be looking at improved housing to improve the housing deficit in many African countries, which should be affordable. And also, vulnerable people who suffer from natural and man-made disasters can easily be protected. Okay. Now, when we come to the other question also of clothes, we must look at how we can protect our bodies and souls. We must begin to look at decent and secured life, and so on and so forth. And that is why it is imperative for African leaders to be African leaders in the business sphere to come together and begin to identify the opportunities within Africa. In fact, within the past decades, Africa, we've had billionaires, African billionaires. So it shows that we can, and for that matter, we can work towards making our communities a better place through the route of business. If you look at Europe, Nkrumah said it took Europe, whatever took Europe 100 years, it will take Africa 25 years to achieve. And I want to state this, that many of the raw materials, if you talk of the cocoa, if you talk of the gold, if you talk of the diamond, if you talk of anything, it comes from the rural areas. And the rural areas of Africa, it therefore shows that there are a lot of opportunities there that can be exploited to make things happen positively in Africa. Now, we need to encourage expertise, home and in the diaspora, to begin to grow some kind of Pan-African models, you know, in order to tie it to some rural empowerment cooperative initiatives in rural Africa. If we begin to look at all these business areas, initiative, we will be in position to move from the situation that we find ourselves to another phase. In fact, it will be interesting to see African conglomerates and businessmen, those who have been successful and what have you, to come together to put together an African Home and Diaspora Development Bank. And when they do that, that will support IT development, industrialization, infrastructural growth, and so on and so forth. Because one may ask, why such a bank if we have the African Development Bank? The African Development Bank, established in 1963, had a purpose: to push the industrialization agenda of African countries. But as we stand today, it is quite interesting that the reasons for its existence seems to be eroded, or it has been eroded. In a sense that the shareholders of the banks, the major shareholders of the bank, are not Africans. They are non-Africans. And because of that, they nearly stopped the current president of the African Development Bank from seeking a second term. Why? Because Dr. Adesina did a very good job during the presidency of Goodluck Jonathan in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Within the agriculture sector, he did very well. Now, being the president of the bank, he was transferring that experience to the bank, which of course, he had a mind very progressive in terms of looking at how the bank can benefit Africa. But like I told you earlier on, the actors of the Berlin Conference of 1884 are always watching. And so what did they do? They were doing everything possible to frustrate him. And that is why there's the need for us to have an African Home and Diaspora Development Bank, which will be 100% owned by Africans, home and in the diaspora. If you look at all the major development countries in the world, they have been able to make it due to national development banks established. And so that has to be encouraged. Now, if African conglomerates and businessmen begin to understand this and come together, they'll be protecting their businesses towards the next 100 years. If they don't, their businesses will be run down. Because remember that the actors of the Berlin Conference of 1884, even beyond that time, all the businesses of the Western imperial kingdoms have been protected through certain mechanisms. A typical example is Nkrumah's regime, like I told you earlier on, tried to industrialize Ghana. They saw it as he taking the productive space because they want to continue to export matches and toothpicks to us. And so they dismantle it and they look up to us to continue to produce raw materials to them. So no African businessman should think that they are in the same world of business with their counterparts in the West or East. They are looking for the same space that they are occupying. But how will they protect themselves from that danger? The only way for them is to come together and build an institution that will protect them, because that institution, they will invest in it greatly. And it will serve as a mechanism to protect their long-term businesses. If not, within the next 50 years, they will run down their businesses for them. Because if they were able to run down a whole state industrialization program, just imagine some few individuals who have put together an enterprise or business. And what I'm saying, you can even go and look at it. You have the Barclays Bank, you have the Standard Chartered Bank, the Rockefellers groups and all of that. You have conglomerates which they keep on changing names, and they are there and they are protected through some. Those conglomerates have even helped to stabilize certain political structures. And those political structures, in its turn, because it is being run by them, they keep on protecting them. But in Africa, do we have that? We don't. We don't. So their businesses are vulnerable. And by extension, African states are vulnerable. Until we begin to look at how we can put certain strategic mechanisms through creativity to sustain. Let me once again mention something to you which will be of interest. During Nkrumah's time before his overthrow, he had 77 state enterprises. And he had 35 manufacturing industries working, functioning, and 1,000 rural industrial projects which were going to be rolled out from 1966 to 1971. All that gone. All that gone. So once it is gone, you dip in what? Hunger, poverty, unemployment. All these things begin to show. And so the advice we are giving is that it will be very important for somebody, a personality like Dangote and his colleagues within the African geographical environment, business environment, they should begin to see how best they can come together and establish the bank that we've talked about, because that is the only way out to help secure our future. When they do that, in the rural areas, we encourage cooperative programs. When you look at Netherlands, how did Netherlands become very strong in agriculture? It was through the agricultural cooperative systems. And so they put their expertise there, they put their professionals to look into it, and they develop models, and then they've been able to make it. We in Africa can do same to suit our own condition, not a copy, not just to copy 100% from what they have done. In Africa, we can begin to look at our rural areas. We have places with potential economic resources. For example, you can go to a place where, for instance, they have the shea trees produce the shea nut produce the shea butter. And when that is processed, they use it for cosmetic. So if you go to a community that produces the shea butter, you get expertise to narrow on that community. Just look at that. They should focus on that community based on that product alone. And when they do that, then you will see that you are eventually empowering them economically, because that is the natural resources available within their geographical area, which is being turned around. But if you don't do that, then it is a different story altogether. We can only get the Africa we want if we begin to look at some of these things. And there has been a lot of, policymakers in both big businesses and governments have complained about shortage of wise leaders. But the real shortage is of wisdom and creative leadership. And that is what we all must begin to look at. And that should transcend ethnicity, religion, wealth, status, and so on and so forth. So, my brothers and sisters, the next level of our Pan-African struggle is to look at the African business network and cooperative growth agenda. Vis-a-vis the potentials that we have in Africa, to produce power, industries, infrastructure, social wealth, and then, growth and happiness. So what I'm going to conclude is, first, we have done the political Pan-African struggle for some time now. It should continue. Now, we should now go to the next phase of the Pan-African economic struggle, where the expertise, where the professionals with best practices, both home and in the diaspora, can come back home and go to the rural settings and begin to incubate Pan-African oriented rural cooperative initiatives. And like I earlier on mentioned, it is good for personalities like Dangote and his group. Dangote has some leverage. He has businesses in many African countries. There are others who have said there's a need for them to come together to put together the African Home and Diaspora Development Bank to be owned by them and controlled by them through their resources, so that they will have sovereign control over it, which will in turn begin to support many projects on the continent. The African Business Month, Brother Dan, I think you have done very well as president of the Global Pan-African Network. You've done very well, congratulations. And we are very proud of you. And we think you should use this African Business Month to create a pool of expertise to support viable economics through business initiatives in Africa. And when we do this, it will mean that we are doing what we can to contribute to reduce poverty, hunger, and diseases. Africa has everything, yet all the resources are being sent out as if those taking the resources out of Africa are rather the Africans. And we shouldn't allow that. We shouldn't allow that. If you look at example, China have produced a lot of billionaires. And within a space of 3 decades, China have been able to lift up poverty, 500 million people from the poverty line bracket. And like Nkrumah said, if we should bring all our brains, our expertise together in terms of saying, look, we are going to tackle the poverty situation, we are going to grow the economy of Africa, we are going to grow the GDP of Africa. We don't want to see any African without shelter, without 3 square meal, without clothes. We are going to lock ourselves in the room. We get expertise, lock them in the room. They should find tangible solutions to our problems. And they are all over. There's a lot of brain drain that has gone on. Many of them are in the diaspora. They should come back home. Well, my brother, remember, if we concentrate to creativity, thinking beyond our comfort level, doing everything possible, cracking our brains, using once again, our expertise, business giants shall come out of Africa. And the business giants to come out of Africa can only be possible if only the key players now within the industry will decide to come together to form a solid platform. They have a say. And we are looking at that aspect. Now, the other task is that all Pan-Africans, all those who are committed to the African question of total economic liberation or emancipation, in their various communities should begin to identify the economic potentials and begin to use creative means to see how they can turn it around. Vis-a-vis a call to the Africa Business Month pool of experts. And when we do that, we should show that responsibility with the first step within our communities. And when we do that, we will now have the moral right to now come out and begin to talk politically. And so this is my contribution. And I think we must continue. And there's one important thing. Let us begin to see. I see Brother Dan as a brother. You come to Ghana. If you come to Ghana, you come and stay in my house. If I go to Kenya, I go to stay in your house.
Yeah,
I don't know to go and stay at any place. Let us work as a team, because the assignment and the responsibility is huge. Nobody should parade himself out there to say, I am the leader of the African contemporary Pan-African. No. Everybody should go back to his or her village. Everybody should go back home. If you say you are a Pan-Africanist and you believe in the African cause, go back home. There's an economic opportunity there. Identify it. When you identify it, all over the continent, you will get expertise to support you to roll out productive ventures there through cooperative systems. The structures are there. Our traditional system in itself constitutes structures. We have many. I don't want to talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area because our sister will be talking about it. But I think this awareness month of economic empowerment of the African, with efforts pulled together, with energies together, selfless energies together, we will achieve the Africa we want. Thank you, Brother Dan.
You're welcome. You've made very strong points regarding using this African Business Month to pull up all the experts that we have, and to mobilize people towards coming up with Pan-African economic structures to ensure that we promote African businesses and help them get up, because during this pandemic, many African businesses are falling apart, and we can utilize Pan-Africanism to make sure that we support African businesses and bring all these experts to ensure that we begin utilizing the natural resources that we have. And then I agree with you what you said. We are brothers in Pan-Africanism, our brothers and sisters. And if you come to Kenya, you're welcome. If I go to Ghana, I'm home. I'm not a stranger anywhere. And this is the of having Pan-African, now linking it to the African Business Month, where now we are discussing about the real problems that are facing Africans. It's very important for us now to seize this opportunity to promote African businesses. Thank you very much, Brother Benjamin, for being part of this initiative, and I'm looking forward to collaborate with you in ensuring that we begin coming up with a roadmap for economic empowerment of Africa, and creating these structures that we need to elevate our people out of poverty. We've seen many Africans are falling into poverty every year, yet China lifted more than 500 million out of poverty. But they are seeing the opportunity in Africa, and they are seizing our natural resources for their own development. So we need to do the same thing. Judge, can you hear me? I can see
hello.
you back.
Yeah, hello. I'm
all right.
Here.
Benjamin, do you have any final comments before we add another speaker?
Yes. What I really want to add is that look, the USA, Europe, the West, and the East, they have their interests, and they'll continue to pursue their interests. Africa must begin to, we must begin to identify our interests and concentrate on our interests. Use the intelligence at our disposal and pursue our interests. There shouldn't be any kind of shift of attention to undo the others will be to concentrate on what we want. The agenda is that we want to improve upon the conditions, and we want to pursue the welfare and the well-being of our people. We want Africa to become an industrialized nation, to compete effectively in the fourth, and that is what our concentration should be. And when we pursue that, we will win, because we'll be doing that in unity. And once we combine all our forces together, irrespective of whichever obstacle, we will win. It is through unity that these other countries have been able to make it. We must get ourselves united mentally to see ourselves with the aim of mass industrialization of Africa, mass youth employment in Africa, and to ensure that Africans move from one country to another freely. Whether they pass the African passport or not, whether we have an African common passport or not, let's create the awareness. And any African who gets to a border shouldn't be harassed because Ghana belongs to a Kenyan. Kenyan belongs to a Ghanaian. Uganda belongs to a Kenyan. Any part of Africa belongs to Africa, period. Nobody should come out with some kind of mechanisms to block our movement. Let us trade amongst ourselves. Let us interact amongst ourselves and do things in common, and we will get there. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. You made very good points, and this is the time now for us to implement. It's nice having you on our platform. George, can you hear me? I think.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin.
Hello.
Thank you for to you. It was great. It was insightful. We're so grateful. We'll be bringing in an exhibitor next.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Hello, can anybody hear me? Yes, we can.
Okay, super. So, George, I just came in because you have connection difficulties, right? So we will introduce our new guest, Miss Andrea Cox, which will talk about how she became a successful business owner, and I will introduce her right now. Hi, Sister Andrea.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, thank you very much for waiting. Thank you for your patience. I'm very good, thank you. How are you doing?
Well, I'm cold. I'm here in Canada. I'm in the car. So
Wow.
it's cold outside. It's snowing outside. But you know what? I'm doing awesome. I'm inside the car, so it's all good.
All right, but as soon as you will get into your subject, you will start feeling warm. Don't worry about that.
Exactly, right?
Yes. So please, can you tell us how to become a successful business owner, what you do, and all the struggle you went through, please?
Oh my goodness. Well, first I just want to thank you guys for having me on here. It's a pleasure being on here. You guys are doing all.
Thank you. Andrea, are you still here?
Hear me? Can you see me? Because I'm not
Yes,
seeing myself right now.
we can hear you, but we cannot see you.
You cannot see me.
Yes. And it was really pleasant to be able to see you.
I know, but I don't know what just happened. Oh,
Okay.
Dear. Sorry,
I
hold
see.
on here. Let's see if
Yes.
we can get back here.
Yes, perfect.
Can you see me?
Not anymore.
You still can't see me.
Now it's good. All right, sorry, family. We are going through troubles, but this is the life. Always you have those search difficulties, but hopefully we will have our sister back because she has some interesting stories to share. Let's wait a little bit. All right, so let's keep our sister Andrea in the line, and we will introduce you a sister that we already had on the channel. So she's becoming really famous here. It's the sister Dr. Unati, and she will share with you her story, her business, and everything she thinks about the community. So let's go and meet her. Hi, sister.
Hi, Sister Wendy. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. All right. Perfect. Thank you to jump in because our other sister had difficulties with connection. She was in the car. So, can you tell us more about you, please?
Wow, there's so much I want to say. Are you sure? I
Yes,
love
please. Please.
Thank you so much for having me, and more so, thank you so much to our viewers. Thank you so much to our President Dan and just the community, our Pan-Africanists. This is a beautiful month. I'm grateful to be part of this. Yes, I'm coming back here. We could never overemphasize mental health. I'm a big mental health advocate. Going back to my story, I am a South African living in Canada for 10 years now. I love it here. I love back home. That's why I'm connected to the Pan-Africanism movement. I'm a family physician, which is a GP. I run a private practice here in Calgary, Canada. I'm in a sort of practice and basically do a lot of things in my practice and also outside. I'm a mom of 2 wonderful kids. More so, I always mention my boy child because my work outside my practice is mostly focusing on men. I am a big men's health or mental health advocate. I actually, outside this community, I have a talk show where I meet a community, a global community of men, where we talk about everything concerning their health, including mental health. So it's a growing community. If people want to be part of it, they can actually give me a shout out. I'm going to leave my contact. So basically how I started, I've been a doctor now for 14 years. I've practiced here more than back home in South Africa. And I heard Brother Ben there saying, you know, you need to come back. It's true. We would love to be back home. There's so many things that made me leave. And to be honest, I love Africa. It's our home. It's our motherland. But I wish we could do things differently. But of course, it's up to us. Again, in the diaspora, we could contribute, you know, to its betterment. So basically, I came here. Reason being, I thought of opportunities. But now I'm starting to see there's better opportunities even actually back home. It's true when we say, you know, it's not always greener on the other side, right? But so for now, it's still working and I'm contributing big time to the African growth. I started my own practice because I just believe that we don't see a lot of women leaders. You know, a lot of times, even the community of other South Africans here, they still, you know, still want to be part of those groups, which is fine. I'm okay with being in a group practice, but I'm a very creative person. I love creating, and I kind of felt if I owned my own practice, I could be creative and basically run the show. But I still work well with being in a team. So I work with a wonderful team, and we are growing the practice, and hopefully to grow it more. We have spaces for 2 more doctors who want to join us. And I want to tell the people in the diaspora or people from Africa who still want to grow and have an international experience, Canada accepts African education. The best thing is to just be in the university or train at a university that is recognized here. So what I do, go ahead, Wendy.
Yes, I have a question for you. Was it easy for you to be accepted by men, to be a helper of men? Was it easy?
That's an interesting question. Yes. You know what? We're starting to see men. I have actually few men who tell me that I prefer talking to you about my erectile dysfunction than to talk to a male doctor. And I mean, it depends. Some men are comfortable talking to their male doctors. What I'm gonna emphasize here, it depends also on the doctor-patient relationship. You know, what kind of a relationship you have with your patient. Are you approachable? Are you sociable? Like, I mean, there's still to be that respect between a patient and the doctor. So that's very important to be a people's person. When you become a physician, you definitely want to work on those soft skills, your interpersonal skills. They are very important. But answering your question, yes, I have. And along the way in your practice, as you grow in your practice or in your profession, you acquire skills on how to conduct interviews. So for me, a lot of times men are scared to see a female doctor because of honestly mental health issues or sexual health issues. So it's up to you as a female doctor to open that communication line. So I don't have trouble. I have my practice is starting to grow now in terms of having more men, but in general, globally, we have more female patients, because men are always scared or they always downplay their symptoms, irrespective of seeing a female or male doctor.
I say that's true, but brothers, you are strong brothers, we know, but sometimes it's good to seek some professional help.
Yes.
I have another question. It's regarding your studies, because maybe many people from our community wants to become a doctor, a physician, a specialist, a surgeon, but they don't have the financial foundation. How did you manage?
You know what? Coming from South Africa, I must say I was blessed, because to be honest, almost each student in my class, honestly, we had bursaries. You know, our government, our health government supports us, and I think they still do. I mean, I qualified 15 years ago. So I was fortunate. In my second year of med school, I was able to receive bursary, which took me through the whole time. Like, you know, what you do, you just come back and serve, you know, in your province where you received your bursary. I know it's a struggle in other countries, but South Africa, we are blessed. I must say, I'm very blessed to have come from that side of the world, and also our education being recognized in Canada, because I didn't have to go back to school here. All I did was just the entrance examinations. Yes, yeah. So yes, no, I'm proud to have trained in South Africa. We have a really good health system and our medical schools, and basically we train, like, I mean, our education is as equivalent to Canada. That's why they recognize doctors in Canada. But like I said, also Canada recognizes other schools from other countries, as long as your school is on the world directory and you get the sponsor you need to come to Canada. So yeah, I'm proud to be a South African, basically.
That's good. And do you have a specialty, like the most often reason people come to visit you?
To be honest, it's a bit of everything. Like I said, I'm a general practitioner, so we do everything. But in this pandemic, we're starting to see more of substance abuse. And I must say, I'm proud of men out there. They're starting to see doctors now. You know, a lot of times it's always girls or women who come see doctors. I'm starting to see my male patients reaching out saying, "Doc, I'm really struggling. You know, this lockdown, I'm drinking a lot more. I need help." So somehow, yes, this pandemic has been hard on everyone, but it's starting to bring that vulnerability in men to know that they can also struggle and they need to seek help. So yeah, we see a lot of that. And in the private practice, we also see the general chronic diseases, low, high blood pressure, diabetes, smoking is part of something. We say this is a condition you have nicotine addiction. So we see that. And of course, the mental health issues, we see that a lot. And of course, and I said, in women, we see women's health stuff, fibroids, we see whole sort of stuff, like a whole lot of stuff. And men, erectile dysfunction. So it's like pediatrics will see a lot of mental health also in children. Yeah, so it's a whole lot.
All right. And when did you start practicing?
In 2005. 2005, yes. I started in South Africa and came to Canada in 2010.
All right. And your kids, how do they handle their doctor mom?
Guess what? I'll tell you this. Kids of doctors, in fact, in my community of doctors globally, our children see us as moms. And sometimes when you think that you have, because we have to switch between the caps, the doctor and a mom and a wife and a partner and all that stuff, our children, they keep us grounded. And also they have called us into order when we work too much, because our work can take us away from our homes. Yes. So I've had my son telling me that you tell them that you are the boss, you need to be home more, so they humble us. Our children, they as ordinary as other children are, but they still see us as humans and as their moms.
And do you expect a lot from them? Because you're a doctor, you're not, it's a specific profession. You have to study and be serious and consistent. Do you expect a lot from them also?
Right. I do expect, but that a lot is in layers. As a rule, as how I was raised, I come from fortunately an educated family. So for me, it's something that I was born into it. So I pass it to my children. That education, it doesn't matter. I don't necessarily say my children need to be a doctor. Their dad is not in the medical profession. The key thing is our children need to dream and be the best they can be. We'll support their dreams and basically coach. I'm more of a coach. I take that approach, coach and mentoring my children, and just embrace what they are good at, and just be their best, really to strive for that success in their lives, not necessarily taking that career. If they want to, for sure, I'll support that. But if they want another route, absolutely, we'll support them.
All right, sister, thank you very much. Maybe last question, I would like to know your thought about the community. What, in your opinion, how, I should say, should we go forward? How can we become one? Do you have any idea?
Yes. You know what? I have so many answers to that, but the key thing is, as a community, as Africans, we grow up knowing that big community of village. It takes a village to raise a child. And I think it applies to us right here. I love the fact that we decided to come together here and bring us to talk about our businesses. So we need to start supporting each other and trusting each other. I think as Africans, we don't trust. And I think it goes back to our history, the colonialism. That was taken away from us. So we need to start rebuilding that, the trust and the sincerity, the love and reaching out. And also, I liked what the other brother Benjamin said. If I'm in Kenya, I want to be free to go to Dan's place. If Dan is in Ghana, he needs to be free to reach out to another Pan-Africanist. So I think we need to have that genuine love for each other, and also supporting each other. And now that we are in the business month, just that supporting each other's business. I think that's basically what it is. That's supporting and reaching out, and also the exposure. Keep exposing yourself, reaching out to other basically Africans. I think we are a big community. We can do more.
Yes. But I also think we are a very proud people. Yeah. And so when you have a business, you already think, okay, you made it. I would say even on top of what you said is to be able to humble yourself and ask help to other business owners. because then the chain starts to become one. You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we can invest in you, but among business owners, you guys have to be like this too.
One, absolutely. Yeah. You said it beautifully, sister. Yes, yes, we need that. And we need to trust each other. And also, I love to mention this. I find, like you were saying, once Africans are already up there, they tend not to want to go up with others. You know, like I said, we are proud. And, you know, there's actually one of my brothers here. He came up with a really great course for us to unlearn this trauma we went through as Africans. It's called WRAP. WRAP. It's doing marvelous thing in people in Africa, in America. It's learning, it's unlearning those conditions. We were conditioned. You understand? Someone robbed us of that. We need to go back to that sincere love and supporting each other.
Yes, for sure. Well, sister, thank you very much for your opinion and your history, and to be willing to share it. Now, do you mind to stay with us for the last round at the end of the show, let's say, to have a talk all together?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. So I keep you among how I can say that. Sorry, guys, I'm French, so I have to translate when I talk. Yes, so you stay with us. I'm going to put a little page of promotion, and then we will start with the other sister Andrea Cox, if you don't mind.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you.
My pleasure. I talk to you later. Stay with us. My pleasure.
I'm living good, I'm living great. Everything I do in the first place. I said I'm living good, I'm living great. Everything I do in the first place.
Hi, Sister Andrea.
How are you doing? This is a quick translation here. I'm so sorry. I tried to
It's okay. It's okay. It can happen. You tried, but at least now you're warm.
I am. Well, you know, I was warm in the car also just to get into the car. So I'm super anti this weekend. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't around once the kids got up. So I disappeared. So now I'm back. Yes. But anyhow, hopefully no disruptions. Yes. But thank you so much.
But it's okay. We understand. We kind of all have kids. So if a little angel comes along, it's fine. So please tell us everything about you.
Yes, well, thank you once again. So, my goodness. So, as you know, the type of work I do is very, very, very different. So, I'm a licensed pre-planning funeral consultant.
Oh, wow.
Which, trust me, if anybody told me about 5 years I would be doing this, I would have laughed at them and said, you guys are kidding me. There's no way I would be working in this industry. So, a little background about myself. So, my parents were actually both from Jamaica, and I was born and raised here in Canada. So in Calgary, Alberta. So I tell people that I'm Canadian. So
a new word. I like that.
So my background is actually in human resources. So I did that for quite a few years. And back in 2014, I got laid off. And through my transition, like, you know, personally, we go through some stuff. And I came across an opportunity where I was working with a unionized insurance company, and what my role was to do was to go to union members' homes and explain to them their options for permanent benefits. And one of the packages was a funeral package. And, you know, I've realized that unfortunately this is going to happen to all of us, and there's no way out of it, right? So, I did that for a few years, and while I was out in the field meeting with union members, two things happened when I realized that, you know, there's a problem. So I went to this one couple's home, and when I went to people's homes, I would always ask the question, do you have a will in place? And most times people would say no, right? And I went to this one couple's place, and I asked them, and they said that they did. And I was wondering, like, you know, this is awkward. Why is that, right? And they told me that unfortunately one of their friends passed away due to domestic violence. And when they went to the funeral, the children were in social services. And because of that, they realized that they need to put a will in place in case if something happened to them, that at least someone would be in the line to take in the children. So that was the first one. And I went to another gentleman's home. He was from Nigeria. And as I said, I was explaining the funeral package, and he told me straight that he does not need the package because he's not going to die. And he was as serious as a heart attack. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, there's a problem here, because we don't think we're going to go. And if we don't put anything in place, it's our loved ones who's left behind trying to figure things out. It's a devastating time, and the list kind of goes on. So I then did a bit of a transition with another company, and I really want to more be able to do seminars and like webinars to more educate a group of people as opposed to one, right? And so that's pretty much how I ended up in the funeral industry. And as I said, I never thought that this is what I would be doing, and came across the opportunity to do webinars. And well, then it was actually seminars. And the whole purpose of that is to educate people on the importance of getting their affairs in order before it's too late. Because when we're gone, and what do we have in place for our families? So I now do these webinars, like, on a monthly basis. So we have a lawyer that comes and more explains the importance of having your will, your enduring power of attorney, personal directive. And of course, it depends where you live as to what those documents are called. So you might not have no clue what I'm talking about. I'm in Canada. You probably know I'm sure that a will, you know what that is. But when it comes to the enduring power of attorney, personal directive, those are legal documents that if someone loses their mental capacity, there's someone who will step up and make their decisions on a medical basis and on a finance basis. So that's two different people, right? And like, even when it comes to my family, like my parents, they're in their 70s and they didn't do their will up until last year, because especially in our community, we are very reactive, right? So we don't think we should have these in place. We don't talk about it. It's taboo. And yet we are leaving our families in a horrible situation, right? So we do these webinars twice a month. And the nice thing about now, because of COVID, we've now put this online for webinars, so people can actually go and understand this, right? And educate not just themselves, but their families also. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I do on my day-to-day basis. So pretty much, I know people are probably wondering, like, what's a funeral consultant anyways? So what I do is I actually sit down with people on a regular day to talk about their final arrangements. What are their final wishes, right? So because what happens is that when someone passes away and there's no discussion with the family, they don't know what that person wants, right? And a lot of cases when someone passes away, and if someone has to go to the funeral home, there's two different options. Either they're going to go and they're going to understand what, like, something is in place, meaning that the person who's passed away considered the family, went, spoke to someone, put everything in place, put the payment in place. Or it's going to be that someone goes to the funeral home, they have no clue, they don't realize that they have to pay all this money, they have to make all these decisions. And, I've come to realize that even when it comes to funeral planning, it's very similar to like a wedding. It's similar to a birthday. It's similar to an anniversary, because it's a celebration of life, right? And we need to embrace it. And instead, we rush to get that done, right? But when it comes to weddings and birthdays, it takes us months in advance, right? So if we can just take a step back and just realize that, you know what, this is going to happen to one out of one of us. Let's try to put something in place to make it easier for our families, right? So that's pretty much what I do. And
but I would say just that your job is not even to organize everything, but it's to change the mindset.
Thank you. And you nailed it, Wendy, because I'm telling you, I've been working in this industry for about 5-6 years. And I feel like I'm on an assignment that God has put me on.
Yes.
Because especially when it comes to our community, we don't get it. We don't want to talk about it. And we just want to push it underneath the rug and ignore it, right? And then, as I said, when something happens, you know, people are running up and down. There's no will in place. And it just is more expensive for the family. And it's more difficult for them. And I always say that when someone passes away, it's either going to be a huge devastation, or the experience is going to be memories of a loving relationship, because that person actually took the time to think about these things, right? So as you said, it's a complete mindset, and it's a change, and it's a whole community thing. So what I've been starting to do, and I've been doing for the last little bit, because I always tell people I'm only one person. And even when I got my second license here in Alberta, I was the second one in Alberta to do this, because people, you're either working in the funeral industry where you are doing at need. So you are addressing the families who are dealing with someone who has passed away, right? And then you have the insurance side where they will do, like, you know, life insurance, critical insurance, but in between, it's not really someone who's really bridged the gap, as per se, to kind of put it together. And that's another thing, because I find that especially when it comes to the men in our community, they don't want to discuss this. Like, the wives will try to initiate it, and the husbands will say, no, it's okay. You know, we don't need this. And they're the first ones to ignore it, right? And it's, I think it's fear, right? They don't want to address it, and it's understandable. And it's a blessing, because since COVID, we've been able to put this webinar on, this seminar now as a webinar where anybody can just access it. And when we were doing the seminars, I've noticed that more the wives would come, and they can't get their husbands to come. So at least now they can kind of press play on the webinar, so their husband in the background can kind of hear what's going on, right? Because this, as I said, and really statistically, it's the wives who goes to the funeral home and buries the husband. Because unfortunately, most times the husbands pass away first, whether we love them too much, whether we're stressing them out too much, whatever the case is, unfortunately, the husbands pass away before the wives. So that is just what the reality is, right? So I actually now host a Let's Talk show on Instagram where, you know, I have someone who comes and talks about death, someone who talks about debt. That's another huge problem in our community. And, you know, and getting old, because not only do we pass away, we get old. And what do we have in place as we get old? As children, we're so busy with our lives, not realizing that, you know, as our parents get older, things change with them, and we have to be more active in their lives. So, you know what I mean? It's just things like that. So it's just to have these uncomfortable conversations that I'm now doing. And as I said, I feel like I'm on an assignment that it needs to be done. So on the business side, I have obviously, you know, even doing this as a business, it has been a challenge, because as I said, it is one thing to be in a business where you have people that's going to support you, and it's something, it's not like, you know, selling hair or a car or, you know, food or something that everyone's always going to purchase. But when it comes to accepting and realizing that this is going to happen, it's not as easy for someone to want to do this program, right? So the education part and the nurturing part is really, really important. So I always tell people, now that I'm a business owner, I lift my hats to business owners, because it is a lot of work. We may think it's easy, and it's really not. And the few things that I have learned is, one, the importance of us having a business plan. Because in that business plan, you know, it has your marketing strategy, and having a marketing strategy as a business owner is huge, because a lot of us is so busy working in the business and not on the business. And if you're like, say, you open up like a restaurant and you're the main cook, you're in the business working. So who is
Yes.
outside the business doing the marketing? And you got to get that going different ways, right? And
Yes.
even when it comes to figuring out who your target audience is, because that's huge. Because when we open up our business, we want to sell to everybody, but not everyone is going to want that, right? So it's just to understand that having a business plan is really, really important. What's another thing? Social media is huge now, which is really good. So like, having to be online, posting, gone are the days where you didn't depend on social media. But as business people, it's really important to understand that social media is really going to be, once you can figure it out, it's really going to help you out with your business, right? Just kind of getting it out there. Back to marketing, like, in some cases, marketing can be quite expensive. And as a business person, and, you call the radio station or you call the TV, and it's very expensive. But there's way to market your business in a way that you're not spending that much money. Because as a new business person, we need to have marketing money, but at the same time, we don't have that much there. So what are things we can do? Attend meetup sessions with different business owners. Like here in Canada, we have a program called BNI. I'm not too sure. I know it's worldwide, so it's different places that kind of helps people get their leads for their business. Doing blogs, being a part of an online event like, what you guys have now, which is awesome for businesses. This is amazing. Like, you guys love it. And there are some websites that we can go on that we can get some free advertising. So it's just a work on figuring out all of that stuff. And another thing that I want to point out is that in a lot of cases as business owners, in our minds, we're thinking that those who we know are going to be the first ones to support us. And unfortunately, in some cases, that's not the case. And a lot of us start businesses hoping that our friends and family know, and that's not the case. So it's so important to have different streamlines of how you're going to be building up your business. You can't just have one way, right? So because I think a lot of us get that shock that we're going to think people are going to support, and that's not the case. And also depends on what you're doing, right?
So,
go
sister,
ahead.
Jumping on what you just said, how? So if you cannot, let's say, count on your friends and family to invest in you first, how do you think we can unite, even if the family is not supportive?
I think it's important as business owners to support other businesses, communicate with them. And, some, as I said, we're so busy working in our business that we're not out there networking, getting out in the community so people can see. Because another problem is that a lot of us don't know what other people are doing. So like one of the things that I've done like the last 2 years here is a business extravaganza here in Calgary with one of the associations that I volunteered with. And I was the main organizer for this business extravaganza where we had up to 40 vendors of people in our community, African and Caribbean, who showcased their business. So it's like a business expo, and it's people just loved it because you walk in and the majority of those who are in there are in our community. And, people be like, I didn't know you did this. I didn't know you did that. And that's the thing is that we don't know how to market ourselves. And that is what I think it is just getting out and just marketing yourself and, hoping that our close people would be supporting us at the same time.
All right. Do you have a last word to add, Sister Andrea?
Yes. Do you know what? For those who are business owners, I just want to encourage you, do not give up. Believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, this is your dream. This is your vision. If it's your purpose in life, don't give up. If you need to get a business consultant to help you strategize different ways to do things, if you need a mentor, just get the help. Hang around those who are business owners because they will understand your struggle, right? And they'll help to lift you up. Because if you don't have that encouragement and that confidence, that's why a lot of our businesses fail. Might it be that, the negativity comes at us or, different people have different things to say and they don't understand what your vision is and what your purpose and what your goal is. So you have to hold on to that and just don't give up.
All right. Thank you very much, Sister Andrea. I wish you the best in your business and to raise the mindsets and yeah, stay connected to the family. Now you're in.
Yes,
All right.
thank you very much. It's a pleasure, Wendy. Thank you. Take
My
care.
pleasure. Bye bye. You too. And we're back. I have the pleasure to introduce you Sister Angela Asante Armar, and she will have the pleasure, and we'll have the pleasure to hear her to tell us her story. All right. Hi, Sister Angela. Hi, Sister Angela. Can you unmute your mic, please? Ah, we have a little problem. She has been disconnected. So let's see if I can have another guess. All right, so we're gonna have a talk. Oh, Sister Angela is back. Let me have a second. All right. Sister, you here?
Yes,
Yes.
Sister Wendy, how are
Okay,
you?
sweet. I'm very good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right.
I hope it's not noisy here. The fan is on.
There is an echo, but it's okay. We can understand what you say. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your story and how you think we can unite?
Okay, so my name's Angela Asante Amar. I am a London-born Ghanaian, so born and bred in the UK. Recently relocated to Ghana, where I am now with my children. And I'm also an ambassador to Global Pan-Africanism Network in Ghana, and also a founding member of Power to Our Mothers Foundation Africa, registered here in Ghana. So I've been here about 2 months now, and a lot of the focus is about empowering mothers and mother figures, aka women, on multiple levels, which I'm doing through the foundation, and also in collaboration with GPAN. Some of you may have seen me host weekly programs live on the Power to Our Mothers Foundation Africa and United States of Africa platforms called the Women in Political Leadership series. And this is all with a focus of encouraging, championing, supporting more women to enter into politics because of the massive underrepresentation there is of female in politics. So that happens once a week. The story thus far, like I said, recently from the UK. I am a lawyer by profession, a UK employment lawyer, but I'm also an intuitive life coach, and also on the path for as an independent presidential candidate for Ghana. But you have to wait 4 years for that.
Okay, impressive, impressive. And so in your work, do you impact women to impact men?
Yes, that is the whole point. Of course, women, mothers and mother figures, we do need empowerment directly, as in not just because it is, if you like, a vehicle, but it is true that when you empower a woman, you empower everybody, because we don't leave anybody behind, and that's why the focus is on mothers and mother figures who happen to be women, as opposed to just women's empowerment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, all right. And So can you tell us more about your thinking, your let's say mind strategy to get us more united, more to get us to be one?
So you're talking about uniting us as an African people. Yeah.
Yes,
So for
exactly.
that, the focus and the tool is the mothers, the mother figures, the women, because we know we all refer to Africa as the motherland, Mama Africa. You know, here in Ghana we say Mother Ghana. Usually our countries they are mother. The earth is a mother, and so it is not possible for the motherland, Mama Africa, any of those to thrive and really do well if the physical mothers on the land, us the doing well. And we know we're not doing well because when you look at developing nation or developed nation, it doesn't matter which one, at some point we are still seeking, you know, gender equality or gender equity. So the women being number one, the majority, uh, statistically, the majority, whether it's 1%, 2%, depending on the country you are in, of the population, and the majority of the global population, we also are the majority of those in poverty. And I would say, and it's clear for us to see, we are the most underutilized resource that we have. We have a proverb in Ghana which says that when you educate a man, you educate an individual. When you educate a woman, you educate a nation. So by helping, supporting, empowering just one woman, like that's a whole family, and then a nation, a generation. So by sheer mathematics, it is the quickest way to empower everyone. This does not mean that we are in any way leaving behind our brothers, our men, our children. It just means that our actual role as women is to do just that. It is to nurture, support, but we also lead. And now, when you look at the world, we need more of the mother energy at the top leading, because we are the ones who are, what can I say, equipped with the focus that is the preservation of life. And we have seen this in the stories and the news articles we've heard about the handling of the coronavirus, and that the countries that are led in some way by women have fared better than those in countries that are led by men. And I would say, you may have your own conclusions, but my personal view is it's because our focus is the preservation of life. And that is what we need when we look at a lot of the issues that are happening across the continent of Africa, even outside Africa, where there are a lot of lives being lost. Look at who is talking out. Look at who is talking out, and how many and how fiercely they are talking out. The men are to protect our, what can I say, if you like, the territory, you know, the countries and things. But the woman, the mother, is the fiercest protector of the children. And that's the voice that we need now, because we're losing our lives so senselessly wherever we are in the world. So the way to unite us is to empower the women, not just in one country, but we talk. We are naturally relational beings. The men will joke, it's like, you know, we're always talking, but that's what we're supposed to do. That's how we build communities, villages. We talk to one another. So that is the work. It's about uniting the women and then using that energy to help everybody else. Because once the woman, the motherly figure, whether she has children or not, so let me just say the motherly figure in the home, once she's doing well, the man, if there's a man there, the man's happy, the children are happy. You know, it's a ripple effect. But we've got to start with the mothers, the women, and also the land. We need to do more with farming our land and owning our own products. So much leaves Africa, as we know. Africa can feed the world X times over, but it's not really Africans that is benefiting from all the resources that are on the continent.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, sister. Do you have anything to add?
It's would just be to reinforce what I said before in terms of leadership. The program that I host is about political leadership. That is important. That is very important, because it is the structure that dictates the lives of our citizens. So it's good. Like, okay, so I've been very privileged to meet other women who are also vying for these high positions, president, prime minister. That's really good. But what we really need is we need more women to almost move as a body of women to enter those political positions. Because if you have just one woman at the top and she's surrounded by men, it's not going to do anything, because she will be forced to behave like those around her. So we need more. We need, it's a call out to my fellow mothers and mother figures that you don't necessarily need to occupy a position to be a leader. You are born leaders. We are born leaders. So it's how we look in our surroundings, how we can assume leadership roles in our surroundings. But we definitely need more women in politics. And the last thing I would say is that one of the big projects that Power to Our Mothers Foundation Africa is focusing on now is building a village. So we have land in the Greater Accra region of Ghana, and we are building a village to address a number of needs. But one of those needs, coming back to what you said, Sister Wendy, about uniting us, is to accommodate diasporans, like myself, those of us either outside of Africa or born outside of Africa, who want to come home. And they want to come home, live either temporarily or permanently, but they don't have any connections. They don't know how to do it, because many have tried, some have succeeded, lots have lost money. And if we're saying that we want them to come home, we have to help them do that, because it's not easy when you don't know anybody. So that's what we're focusing on. And if anybody wants more information about that, they can visit the Facebook page of Power to Our Mothers Foundation Africa. And the link to the funding page is there to either donate or get involved somehow.
Super great. While you were talking, I was thinking, I was trying to put myself in the shoes of a strong Black man. And the first thing which came to my mind was, brothers, you should not feel threatened by young women. Because if you are a strong Black man, for sure you have a strong Black woman beside you. She cannot be weak, and she will not be weakened because you're getting stronger. So when Sister Angela, you were talking, I was thinking, okay, they will feel threatened because they need their position as the leader. But it's not a competition. When you're married to someone, it's a teamwork. So I think it's important to say it, because empowering women is good, but it doesn't mean we crush down our Black strong men. We need them to stay strong and to become stronger. Yes?
Exactly. And actually, that just comes back to what I said at the beginning, that why I will always first talk about a mother or a mother figure than a woman, because everybody has a mother.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. And the more we can revere our women with the same love, respect, adoration, we cherish them like our own mothers, that alone will do so much for us, And you're absolutely right. It's not only with the men versus the women, but whenever that happens to be in the majority, feels that a group that is not in the majority has more power, they feel like that power is going to be taken away from them. Yes. But actually, it's the opposite. When your woman, when your mother or the mother figure in your life, when she's thriving, when she's grounded, when she's feeling well, don't you feel happy? Like every man, whether every man is in some shape or some shape or form working to make a woman or a girl in his life happy. Whether it's the daughter, whether it's the wife, whether it's the mother-in-law, something. The men are working for us, perhaps with. So is that we're all men they can relax and they can be happy. And the other important thing about what you said, Sister Wendy, is that this competition, it's actually alien to us. It's something that we've learned as an African people. It was not our nature for our men and our women to be competitive. The men and women, they had their own roles and they were complementary. So one does something that the other can't do and vice versa. So we've learned this competition and we have to unlearn it. And we have to start with the mothers and the mother figures because we're the first educators. So if we don't learn how to get on with the other mothers and mother figures, the other women, the men are just following our lead. They've been taught by us. So it's actually our responsibility to get ourselves in a good position, and then our men will be fine.
All right, all right. Thank you very much for your opinion and for everything you shared with us, Sister Angela. I wish you the best in your crusade, because that's some work also, and stay connected to the family. The same. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sister Wendy. Bye.
My pleasure. Bye bye.
Welcome to Kenya Pro. We look forward to sharing with you how you can use the Kenya Pro platform to engage students around the globe with captivating learning opportunities, making your subject matter come alive on any brand of smartphone, tablet, laptop, or desktop computer which your students have access to. Why Kenya Pro? Kenya Pro is a refined cloud-based software that provides a centralized source to support learning. No need for servers, no installation required, and no waiting on peripherals to arrive in the mail.
All right, sisters and brothers, we are going to introduce to you a sister, Sister Miriam Mitizwa. I hope I said her name well. She is the co-founder of the Women in Agriculture, BOAF. So let's see what she's about and what her business is about. All right. Hello, Sister Miriam. Can you unmute your mic, please? The mic? We can't hear you. Can you unmute the mic?
Thank you. Sorry
My
about
pleasure. So I said it well?
You said it on point.
Super. So tell us everything about the women in agriculture, please.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. And I was mind blown. I'm still mind blown by my predecessor, Angela, Sister Angela, and her guts to go back to the mama land and start such a powerful cause. I did that a few years ago, 2009 to be precise, after having worked for several years as an IT engineer and as a project manager in various sectors. So being on the ground in Africa, in Zimbabwe in particular, I was exposed to the challenges and opportunities that as a society we have on the continent. A lot of the materials that are using, the gadgets that we are using, a lot of the foods that are consumed in cold Europe are coming from the continent. And despite those huge either exports when we are on the African side, or imports when we are on the Western side, that is not changing the fiscus. So I was raised by parents that were also doing several careers or following several career paths, but one of the strongest paths was horticulture. So I was raised by horticulturalists. They were growing fruit and vegetable for consumption locally in Zimbabwe, and paprika for export to mainly Spain. So realizing that my parents raised us, there was 5 of us, raised us comfortably on those incomes, was an indication, because now we can't even raise one kid comfortably on a mere salary. Even in the West, it's a struggle. But when you look at the spreadsheet of the financial story of where a cucumber starts and how it ends on your plate, the journey it takes, the cost at putting it in the ground, and the ultimate value chain, and who's involved, and everybody through the value chain is benefiting, including the transporter, including the packaging, including the grower. So many a time we see the grower and we understand, oh, okay, they're a farmer, they're a horticulturist, they do food production. But as women, I saw a gap. We are missing in the action. Women in rural Africa are the producers of the food that is consumed. And if you look at the statistics, soon after independence, a lot of men flocked to the urban areas to get the jobs that they were usually deprived of, and women and children remained in the rural areas and planted and filled the granaries, and countries were exporting to each other. So there were potentials on the economy, and that disappeared, that fizzled away for many reasons: weak policy, corruption, and several other issues. So 2 years ago, with colleagues, we set out to found Women in Agriculture with the idea of doing platform agriculture. So if you look at an apartment block anywhere in the world, at the end of the day, half the time you don't know who actually owns that piece of land that you're all sharing. And each one of you buys a flat, and you own your flat and you make it a home. So the vision is to have a platform agriculture solution where you've got, because if you look at a woman in the rural areas, they can plow and till a hectare of land, and one season a year for food production, which they stock dry and stock for consumption the whole year. And if you were to give them an opportunity on a resourced piece of land with farming undercover, with storehouses, with machinery, with easy access to water, you'd have phenomenal results. So that is the idea behind Women in Agriculture. Why should I struggle to buy a $90,000 piece of equipment on my own when 1,000 women can come to 1,000-hectare farm and each person pays towards the shared resources? It's there's no mortgage for this sort of thing. So that is my campaign and the campaign of the team. We've seen it work in Vietnam. They grow rice in such arrangements, and the International Monetary Fund has commended the crop receipts where you can fund on a crop that's not yet planted, and you can mortgage that. And yet, this is guaranteed returns. They will fund a single mortgage house, the financial institutions, but that property only benefits an individual with a covering. It does not have financial returns over a period of time. So we are advocating as Women in Agriculture to push for crop receipts and have a different kind of mortgage in the farming environment. And if you look at Uber and Lyft, they are based on such transformations. Nobody knows when you're in Africa, nobody knows who's actually the owner of Uber platform. And yet everybody equally enjoys it. I've got my app, I'm gonna call an Uber or summon an Uber, and I'm gonna pay for my share of that ride. But the system is shared across the world. And that's what we are advocating for. And like Sister Angela rightly said, women do need the support. But if you look at even the subject of economics, it was fostered by how women arrange their daily lives or the daily lives of their families. So in a nutshell, that is the vision, that one day we'll wake up and these superpower individuals or corporates or multinational corporations that we see as a threat to the development of Africa can only be brought to book if our own financial institutions on Africa are independent and they take a stance. I spent some time with the Bank of Ghana in 2011 on the Eastwich, where we visited Tema Market and various other microfinance institutions. And you can tell that the economy is run by the micro organizations and the SMEs. And so our own governments take time to recognize those individuals. And many a times we don't have insurance, we don't have backup. So if I die and I was the one tilling the land, my children automatically become destitute and there is no continuity. But with a model that fosters financial engineering, that sees sharing of resources within a community, and you can actually revolutionize the society. And the other aspect I look at is the markets. We even import fresh produce rather than buying from countries within our continent. And why is that? It's not because it won't be affordable, but the logistics. So even within the SADC region, if I want to buy from Kenya or Tanzania and I'm in Southern Africa, the quality of the roads do not foster that. So I will buy rice from China instead of Tanzania. I will buy tomatoes from Spain. I'll buy tomatoes from Italy. If you look at Nigeria's consumption of tomatoes, and
so Sister Miriam, are you saying that just by how do you say it in English? Renovating the roads, we can change the entire economy.
Change the roads and the communication system. You can revolutionize. And just looking at areas that I'm familiar with of Africa, which are Southern Africa and East Africa, if you look at that belt alone, look at the history of the colonization era. They built Kenya as the first airport hub for that region, and they used to distribute. And to date, Kenya is a hub of distribution of flights. And it's just sorting that out. You can actually fix a whole lot. When you're doing something developmental, the issues that you sort out is movement of goods and the communication system. Look at the West Coast in America, look at the Wells Fargo and the Gold Trail and the like. They developed the roads to move goods and services and the communication system, and then the economy booms. But we find it easier because the airlines are operational. So we find it easier to fly out and get stuff from China and Dubai than to travel by road or even by air. Look at DRC. Nobody can get to DRC from any angle in a good road. The good roads end at a particular time. So you look at the size of it, and you're like, they'd rather import and then dock at the western side of the continent to bring goods and services. And those are clear and present challenges that are besieging our continent. And so it's simple things like that. But then you look at who is developing our roads.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was thinking, do you think this is sabotage?
It's not sabotage, because money has to churn, and they figured out. I know for a fact that there are parts of highways that were sponsored by the program formerly known as the DFID, for development of international and foreign initiatives funded by the British taxpayer. So you look at 8 billion that funded Lusaka, Chirundu to Lusaka, and how the tender went down. And then the quality of the road was only good for a little while. But even that is, poses questions. And so I can't blame the funder, because the funder has extended the money, but the contractors, our own people, are the ones that are winning these contracts. What are they doing with the money? Look at Zimbabwe. It's been talking about jewelization of Harare to South Africa, and money has exchanged hands. And what happened to it? So I can't blame the funder without equally blaming our own brothers and sisters at the helm. So, like Sister Angela said, when we put women in these offices, we can make a difference because of how we think. We think with care and passion for the next person. I'm not saying our brothers are not caring and passionate, but we are wired differently physiologically. So these are some of the things. I mean, we have been let down by women in power before. You look at Liberia; it had a woman, and it's still our mama is still influential. But I was talking to a colleague, and we were talking about they import practically everything. And I was saying, okay, what do you have there so we can start industry of even making soap? Do you have tallow so that we can, that's the main ingredient? No, my sister, we have to look at importing it from Ghana. And these are the real issues. And these are women I'm talking about. And so the issues at hand are many, and a woman is wired to make a difference. Look at how we rise above situations. A man leaves Africa as an engineer, comes to say America or UK. They are they feel stripped of their dignity, and they can't adapt as quickly as a woman leaves as an executive, and they come and they know the children have got to eat. They'll do care work as the only job available. They will be cleaners, but men feel their ego stripped. So this is just the makeup of women. But I'm saying and agreeing with my sister that we complement each other and we bolster our resources, limited as they may appear, but they're really not limited. If you look at the minerals, how many women are actually in mining in Africa? How many women are actually in agriculture in Africa? How many women are decision makers in corporates and are actually independent to call the shots and to be executive enough to say, right, guys, you've voted this way, but we're going to go this way because this way works? How many women actually in those positions? So thank you very much. That's all I'd like to share today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's extremely interesting to see like every single individual in this community has a different point of view, and all together we can really fly high.
Absolutely.
I believe that it's just 1 + 1 + 1. And even if you are doing your mission and someone else is doing something totally different, we will come together. It's like I believe that it's like magnets. We are meant to become one.
Absolutely.
That's what I need to say.
Thank you,
Sister Miriam, my pleasure.
Thank you so much, Sister Wendy. Have a lovely evening. And
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
You're an awesome convener.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm just listening, and everything is interesting.
Thank
So
you.
have a nice evening, afternoon. I don't know, but
Evening,
hope you will stay in contact with the channel, and we'll see you again.
Thank you very
Right.
much. Have a lovely day.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, sisters and brothers, we have our next guest, who is the founder of Ethiopian Alphabet Software, And I have the pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Abera Mola. Hi, doctor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good. And yourself?
I am okay. Can you hear me well?
Yes, very well. And thank you for your patience.
Okay, that's all right.
Yes, there's so much to say on the subject. So, yes, and brothers and sisters, I'm very happy to have a man now because two women were talking, no, three actually. We're talking about women power, but it's about us. It's about all of us. So, Dr. Aberamola, can you please introduce yourself, your business, what you do for the community, etc.
Okay, my name is Abara Molla. I am originally from Ethiopia, but I have lived in the United States for the last 45 years. So I am in Colorado, and what I have done, or what my business is about Ethiopic computers.
Okay.
I started working on Ethiopic, which is the alphabets of Ethiopia, in 1982, and since then I have computerized it. I have some patents in Ethiopia and the United States, and people are using my system to write in the alphabet. With this, I can go into what it is, but this is a brief introduction.
Wow. So basically, with your software, Ethiopian business can write their documents in Ethiopian language.
Yes.
That's big.
Yes.
Wow.
But I can now go further and tell you what Ethiopic is so that you have an idea and how I am trying to introduce it to other parts of Africa.
Okay.
Okay, Ethiopic is one of the ancient alphabets. We have used it for over 3,000 years continuously. And this is something we have developed very long time. And because we managed to keep our culture and everything, we managed to maintain it at the same time, grow it and modify it. And for instance, when the printing press was invented by Gutenberg, the alphabet used the printing press in 1513. And we have been moving with the technology ever since, and we have quite a large number of books which we have been writing manually before, and we have quite a large knowledge base. And now the old Ethiopian language of Ge'ez, also known as Ethiopic, is taught at a PhD level in foreign universities like in Germany. They have now universities in Canada and the United States who are teaching this language and alphabet. Yet we don't know much about it in Africa. And even the history that we in Africa have one of the oldest alphabets in use for millennia is unknown. Yet we have been using this, and now because I computerized it, and since 1987 we have been using it, and at the same time we have also moved the technology whenever the technology moves. And now there is I have even produced a smartphone version, and there are also a version where people can freely go on the internet and write in Amharic. Amharic is the national language of Ethiopia, and the majority of Ethiopians know it and they use it. So what I have been doing is the alphabet is phonetic. What it means is every sound has a character, and any character represents a sound only. And there are close to over 300 of them, 300 characters in Amharic because it is phonetic. And the advantage of the alphabet is once you learn the alphabet, you don't need to know how to spell it because every sound has its own character. Oh. And there is a pattern you learn, the shape of the alphabet you learn, and because of that is probably one of the best alphabets. And at the same time, it can be used for different languages. As a result, there is a colleague of mine, his name is Mark Paul. He lives here in the United States. He's an African American. He has been studying it, how he could use it for African languages, and he identified 22 African languages which can use Ethiopic. So one of the things we have been trying to do is, because of colonialism in Africa, not only have we lost some of our languages, we have also lost our culture. And now we are speaking in different languages and we have difficulty understanding each other. Some of us know French, some of us know English, some of us know another language like Arabic. So here we have the Ethiopic, which everybody can use. And the alphabet allows the creation of new characters if there is one which is not there in that language. And because it handles quite a large number of characters, you just pick whatever you want and write with it. And I have developed the software in different directions, and I can add the software to any language, and we can use it. Right now, for instance, from the Ethiopic, we can translate it to English, or the English, we can translate it to Amharic. So essentially, we have all the world technology in our hands. We don't have to invent or reinvent anything. It's already invented. So my next project, other than selling it in Ethiopia, is to take it to other African countries and see if we can expand it so that at least as we become United States of Africa, we will have one alphabet which will bring us together. And to start with, we can also use Amharic so that we talk at least one language, because it's written with a long history as well as resources. Anybody can use that. And then this doesn't mean anybody loses their language. No language has to be left behind, but they can write it in other languages they know, while not depending on English and other languages. So we are trying to expand in other countries, and I'm trying to make some arrangements with universities and so on to start teaching this alphabet. That's where I am for now. For those of you who are interested in what this product is, for instance, my third product is called Geezedit, Geezedit. Geez is another name for Ethiopic, which is the name of the alphabet as well as the name of the language. For instance, Ge'ez is one of the languages with which the Bible was written. There is a book of Enoch, which is one of the ancient books. It was found only in this alphabet and in this language and in Ethiopia. It is lost from all over the world. So had it not been for Ethiopia, the world would have lost this ancient biblical book. And so people, if they are interested in learning the language, can go, say, into iPhone and buy the Amharic, the Geezedit Amharic, and learn how to write it, and at least start learning what it looks like. And because you will have also the alphabet, you can read anything on the internet using your cell phone. Right now, with that program, people do anything they do in English. All you do is you click on a globe globe icon, and that will change it to Amharic, and you do anything and everything in Amharic exactly the way you do it in English. If you want to write a note in Amharic and save it, you use notes. If you want to go on Facebook and write something and post something, you write in Facebook. And if you want to send an SMS, you do that. If you want to look for a cell number of a friend, you just search for it in Amharic. So this is where we are, and this is what I have been doing. And I can give you more information if you have any more questions.
Yes, of course, I have one.
Okay.
How can you make the other 22 language holder accept yours?
We just give them the alternative. What it is say, for instance, if you take English or even French, the way it is written and the way it is spelled and the way you write it, you have quite a lot of problem, because you, like, if you take English, you don't read what you write, and sometimes what you write is not what you read, and there are too many rules and they are not scientific. With the Ethiopic system, it is simple and anybody can follow it once you learn. For instance, to give you an example, just like A, B, C, D, E, F, there is a row in the Ethiopic. It is Hala, Hama, Sara, Sasha, and so on. And there are only 34 of them in Amharic instead of 26. Because in Amharic, Sh has its own character. And Z has its own character. It's not like in English where you use TH or SH or CH and so on. Because of that, you have one character for one sound. And then each sound has 8 varieties, like ma, mu, mi, ma, me, mo, moi, ba, bu, bi, ba, be, bu, bo, bois. So each character sideways has its own sound as well as its own shape. Once you learn those, for instance, my name is Abara Mola. You hear only 3 sounds in Abara, A, B, Ra, and each has its own character. Mola. You hear 2 sounds and each has its own character. So you need only 5 characters, which takes only 5 space. And it is the same thing whether you put it in writing or convert it to speech. Because of that, this is a good alphabet which everybody should learn. If they want to learn it, it's up to them. If they don't want it, it is up to them. We are not forcing anybody, but what we are saying is, here in Africa, we have something which we have developed and kept it with our society, within our society, and we also kept it because somehow we were lucky enough to manage to keep our independence for 3,000 years.
Yes. And your software is available now, you said, on every devices.
Yes, even for instance on Windows, I have got a page where it is http://freetyping.goozedit.com, where you can go and write it for free. Or you can buy an application called GoozEdit from me, and that you can use in Windows. And in fact, once you buy the product, you even don't need any word processing. You can use it in Notepad because you don't have to buy Word or anything.
Yes.
And then in App Store, I have the GoozEdit Amharic, which you can buy and download, and then introduce the keyboard through sequence. As you go to the settings, and you then add the keyboard, and then you come back, and under profile you add the alphabet. So you have the Ethiopic alphabet. And while I made the Ethiopic, we have gradually taken it to Unicode. So the alphabet is one of the Unicode alphabet recognized by any computer now. And of course, you need the font, which is a picture of the alphabet. And the one, when you buy, you get that one. But these days, there are so many free ones. And most of the companies like Google and even Microsoft and even Apple, they produce the font. So the Ethiopic font is available, and this is the writing tool that I computerized. The main reason why I computerized it is my field is not computer. My field is veterinary medicine. And with my postdoctoral degree at Colorado State University, I did some scientific study, which I have contributed largely. And I realized that method I used in my field required patent. This was back in the 70s. So once I started working with the Ethiopic, I realized this is a technology which I have to patent, and my patenting it has helped us because we are in control of the alphabet and we are in control of our own destiny.
So nobody can copy it?
No, because it's patented, nobody can copy it. But
All
my
right.
main idea is not so that nobody would copy it. My main idea is so that somebody would copy it and probably limit our use of the alphabet, especially in Ethiopia and now in Africa. So that's that's why I work on the patents.
And do you market your software all over the planet?
Yes, I market it all over, but mainly the main group of people who buy my software are Ethiopians, and they are there all over the world.
Oh, yes, that's super. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Congratulations with your great software, because this might be useful for the future, because we will need one language. That's for sure. The division is the territories, but also the languages. And
Yes.
maybe you are bridging something here.
Yes, actually, that's what we are trying now, and we have to have one country. We have to be a United States of Africa. We have to have one language. We have to have one alphabet. We have to have one currency. There shouldn't be any boundary between us. We have the resources. What we need is just cooperation and some common sense. Hopefully, some of our leaders will come to their senses, and they would leave after 8 years, and they won't hang around and hurt the rest of us. And maybe if we do this and we cooperate, we can really move fast out of all this problem we have. If you have seen all our problems, especially with slavery and so on, is just a short history of some 400 years ago when the Europeans took our African brothers to America and the Caribbeans. And here, this has created a problem where people look down on us as if we were created different from anybody else. And we, in fact, our alphabet is one of the oldest, and we have histories and historians who think we are the source of some of these European alphabets now. So at the same time, even other than English, some of these alphabets, like the Arabic, are also imposed on our African brothers in the north. And there is no reason why we should use other alphabets and other languages when we have ours. That doesn't mean we stop it. Like, say, somebody can use Swahili. If they want, they can use the English. But again, they can write it in Amharic, and somebody in West Africa can use whatever language they use there. And at the same time, say there are close to 22 of them. Like some of them are the Shona in Zambia, and there are quite a lot of them. And we can use it for anything. At the same time, some of the languages have their own tones. We can add those characters. For instance, because Ethiopic is one of the ancient alphabets, it is one of those which didn't have the zero number. I created a zero number, and we can now use it for mathematics. So we had our own mathematical system of multiplication and so on, which we have used for a long time. At the same time, for instance, I have a special character which I created for the Ethiopian currency we call birr. So I have a symbol for that. And in the future, if we need one currency and we can create a symbol for that, and I have an Ethiopic equivalent for trademark and registration mark and anything. At the same time, since this is under our control, I am cooperative to work with anybody to improve on it. And I also am eager to see this as taken to other African countries. And I will work with universities and any African individual who is interested in joining me and promote it, as well as even invest in it. But the important thing is we have to develop our own technology, at least in terms of languages, so that we don't lose them and compete in the world. This doesn't mean we don't have to learn other alphabets and other languages, but we should have our own so that we will control our destiny.
I can't wait to learn Ethiopic. That's gonna sound lovely. But yes, thank you very much for sharing your let's say discovery, your innovation for the future, because that might become very useful for all of us. And yes, I wish you improvements even more and to touch a lot of countries and not only Ethiopian, more people from outside, but it's gonna require again a shift of mindset, because learning a new language is not easy, and when it's so foreign, because for example I speak French, so Spanish, Italian is easy for me, for my brain, but Ethiopic must be a stretch. You see what I mean? So
Yes.
for everyone to be on the same page and little by little start learning one language, for all of us that would be the start of unity.
Yes, at the same time, the emphasis is mainly on the alphabet. Writing the alphabet is simple, it is efficient, and in fact, I think it is one of the alphabets which we use, which will take to another planet in the future, because the Latin alphabet, because of the number of characters, has created quite a lot of problems on us. At the same time, the Latin alphabet was meant only for Latin alphabet. There are characters which you can't sound, like nya. Nya is there in Spanish, but like nya, cha, cha, ja, and so on, it is not there in English. And we have run out of characters, and we have gotten into spelling problem because of that. With
Yes.
Ethiopic, you create anything. For instance, Yoruba doesn't need as much as, say, Amharic. We just assign the Yoruba character set to only what Yoruba needs. And we just do the same thing for everything. And we can write Kikuyu or whatever language with it. And people can just select that character set. For instance, even in Ethiopia, the one I have for Ethiopic, I have 13 Ethiopic character sets. The Amharic character set is different from Tigrinya, and that Gurage is different. And I have 13 of them. I have a drop-down menu to just use only that language. We'll expand that into Africa, and we'll have a menu of how many languages we have, how many we want to learn. But at the same time, it will help us move the technology from, say, we have something in English, we can translate it to that language through the Ethiopic, and people can hear and write in their own language, and they will have documentation. And they can also improve the language with technology and whatever it needs. So the Amharic part is because at least it would help us if all of us learn it. Somebody in Nigeria can talk to somebody in, say, Zimbabwe in the same language, instead of using a different language and requiring different things, because they are speaking different European languages at this time as a common language. But if we use Amharic, it might help us because at least it's a developed language, and we also have quite a large number of users anyway already.
All right, thank you very much for sharing with our channel your software, and we really hope that you're gonna thrive even more, and that your software will bring us together. That's the main objective.
Yes, that's what I am hoping, and I'm happy to be part of this, and let's work together, because we already have everything. All we need is cooperation, and there is no reason why Africa should be robbed of all its materials and so on, because we don't have the technology. With the technology, we know a lot. We can read the current technology in languages we know. We will have more younger people creating different things, and we can fast eradicate diseases and use our resources. And because we are one of the richest continents, there is no reason for us to suffer and go through all this nonsense, and even be insulted in other countries and be treated like second-class citizens where we are not. We are no less than anybody. We are no better than anybody, and there is no need for all this nonsense.
Yes, perfect. I wish you a good evening on those words, and maybe we'll see you very soon on the channel.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
my pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right, sisters and brothers, our next guest is Miss Ruth James, and we will introduce her right now. Hi, Sister Ruth.
Oh, hello.
Hello, you're live. Can you
Uh,
introduce yourself, please?
yes, I'm Ruth James, and I'm so happy to have the opportunity to be here with this group today presenting. I am an entrepreneur in technology. We have a consulting practice here in Southern California. IT management consulting. And I really had been working in that field. I've been working in this field really since forever. And a few years back, 2014, to be exact, I was working with a management consulting firm in Chicago. And I had been working with management consulting firms for a while. And the nature of this work is such that you go where the client is as a consultant. And so I moved around a lot all over the United States and was, sent here and there. And one winter, bear in mind that I'm living in Southern California, where the weather is nice and warm, kind of year round. And in the dead of winter, I got sent from 70 degrees to minus 14 degrees to a client. And I thought, this is not what I like.
Yeah.
So I definitely have enough experience and enough contacts. I think I can do this. I think I can do this on my own and pick the places I want to be. So I did just that, and I'm saying that because I really want to encourage the entrepreneurial spirit, within our people who feel that they're ready. I am definitely a believer that being trained and being in environments where you can learn and grow are essential. So I'm not saying that people should not be gainfully employed and get into places where they can grow and learn. But when you get to the point where you think you are ready to make the leap, make the leap. Because you do need support systems, you do need colleagues that you can work with, but they're not all in that one building where you're employed. They exist all over. You can make connections and you can build support systems. And, I am an independent consultant, but I don't exist alone. I have several colleagues and connections, and we work in networks to make sure, we share information, we share technical information, we share contract opportunity information. And so you have that, you need to build a network of support. But when you are ready, I encourage anyone to take that leap of faith, because I can guarantee you that earning capacity, autonomy, all things that are precious in life, yes, the risk is higher, but the reward is infinitely higher. And actually, there is no job that's going to necessarily pay you what you're worth. And when you are an entrepreneur, the market, your skills, your abilities, your ability to build trust in clients, your ability, to stand by your work, all of these things are what ends up dictating, what your earning capacity will be. It's not that one person in that one office over there who may or may not like you, or it's a very different world. And I just want to encourage anyone regardless of age group or whatever. If you feel that you are ready, you have the experience in whatever it is that you're about, you should really consider taking that leap of entrepreneurship. So that's kind of a little bit of my introduction. Like I said, my background is technology. It's what I studied, and I've always been in this field. All of my life in different capacities, and right now with the management consulting. The focus really is with S1 Tech Consulting. That is my business. The focus really is on helping business entities to maximize their technology dollars and get the worth out of it. A lot of organizations, we're all, and that's across the globe, people are in a growing mode and trying to get used to all that technology can afford us to do now. And sometimes, not just sometimes, I am primarily doing for the management consulting. I primarily do contracts for state and local governments. And in those organizations, as you can imagine, government is a cumbersome thing. And there's all sorts of ways that people do things that have nothing to do with efficiency, and everything to do with, well, that's just how we've always done it. And so now, as dollars are becoming, everyone wants to see how they can make a dollar stretch. Organizations are realizing efficiency is absolutely critical. And so the type of consulting that I do is primarily process re-engineering, and also helping the organizations understand how to put together technology solutions that are going to help them meet their objectives. So that's the technology consulting part of it. As I said before, I'm an entrepreneur, so that's not the only, I leverage my technology skills in other ways. But as far as the consulting piece goes, that's what it is. And I am always, always, always looking for talent, because I can't do all the work, on my own. I always have to hire additional talent to work with me on different projects, or to dispatch to different projects. And so I just want to make sure I say it right here, that I am always looking for software engineers, business analysts, people who are skilled in IT in the professional world, because there is a ton of work to do. And I have worked very, very diligently to build and maintain a top-notch reputation for delivery and excellence. So I'm always looking for others who are like-minded, and COVID is not a good thing, but the one thing it has brought us is a bit of normalcy in terms of working remotely. So I have made it a part of my practice that I'm a believer in science. So the social distancing works for me. I know there are a lot of people who have all sorts of different views of that, but I am as far distant as I can be socially, because I believe in science. And the good thing about this for us is that I have people who support and help me on projects who are everywhere, and I mean everywhere. So if we have talent, on the continent, or as we are, we here are Pan-Africanists, and we understand that we are everywhere. So wherever that talent is, I am always, always looking for and open to professional technology, people who have professional technology skills. So that's one, that is one aspect of it. I have a strong background in education. and I am extremely passionate about education. I come from a family of educators, and even though I chose technology as my path, education is never far behind. And so I have chosen to create an arm of my organization that focuses on leveraging technology to further education. With that, I want to be, I can see here to share my screen. I want to be able to share with you, and I'm not really sure if this has been played before, but I'm going to play the video that shows the introduction of the brand, the learning platform brand that I have launched to support learning through technology. So let me share my screen. Let me see which screen it will share.
Welcome to Kania Pro. We look forward to sharing with you how you can use the Kania Pro platform to engage students around the globe with captivating learning opportunities.
So did I just do that, or was that done in the studio?
I think you just did.
Okay, hang on.
It's okay.
Let me see if this screen turned. Okay, this is not the screen. This is not the screen. This is the screen. Okay. All righty. Okay.
Welcome to Kania Pro. We look forward to sharing with you how you can use the Kania Pro platform to engage students around the globe with captivating learning opportunities, making your subject matter come alive on any brand of smartphone, tablet, laptop, or desktop computer which your students have access to. Why Kania Pro? Kania Pro is a refined cloud-based software that provides a centralized source to support learning. No need for servers, no installation required, and no waiting on peripherals to arrive in the mail. Kania Pro connects you to the world. You're able to leverage high-quality, easy-to-use, scalable, and cost-effective educational services while offering an interactive and integrated learning process. You can create your own courses to empower your audience to learn at their convenience, whatever their geographic location. You can also utilize Kania Pro's wide repertoire of curated courses for professional development or personal growth. Now, let's look at some of Kania Pro's highlighted features. Interactive live training sessions. We want learning to be interactive and captivating. Knowing that everyone learns differently, we ensure that we have a variety of tools to facilitate different types of learners and interactions. For example, our options for teacher-student communication include breakout rooms, chats, annotations, whiteboarding, and surveys, to name a few. Let's face it, no one wants to be in a session that's not engaging. Course design and management. You can upload recorded sessions and use them as course content. We have a streamlined process to facilitate course development using accessed web content, presentations, PowerPoint, PDF, video, audio, and keyed in plain and rich text content. In other words, we provide a wide range of content formats to support course development. We also provide the ability for instructors to create learning paths consisting of multiple courses, which can be managed by establishing prerequisite requirements. Communication management. Our secure communication tools make it easy for you to communicate with learners. You can create and make notifications, use our integrated calendar, manage mass messaging, create and manage discussion forums, as well as make, collect, analyze, and distribute test results. One of the most insightful features is the reporting tool. It gives simplified statistical insight into a course and the learner's interactions. Personalizing your account. Kania Pro is a customizable LMS platform that gives you the power to personalize your account. If you have a website, we can map the website to your Kania Pro account. We can add your logo, color scheme, and your selected theme from our collection. Why blend in when you can stand out? Additionally, Kania Pro lets you gamify your e-learning experience to keep users engaged and motivated throughout their learning journey. To do that, the Kania Pro LMS offers some of the most popular and battle-tested gamification techniques: points, badges, levels, and leaderboards. Selecting the Kania Pro platform means having access to features that will enrich both instructor and learner experiences. The ability to connect and empower your audience globally through interactive virtual sessions, a wide repertoire of curated courses for personal and professional development, which you can use for your own organization or offer to clients, the ability to drastically reduce or eliminate course facilitation-related travel expenses while extending your client base, device-agnostic course accessibility anytime, anywhere, the ability to extend LMS content with developed content, the ability to customize and issue certificates upon completion of courses or seminars, a professional platform with integrated calendar management to schedule and manage live instructor-led classroom sessions or individual consultations, an easy-to-use platform that does not require technical skills to engage clients. All right, stop screen sharing.
Right.
Okay, so that's the platform, that the Kania Pro platform that I launched to support organizations that want to leverage such a platform for their own purposes within the organization, or I'm going to go back to sharing because I have more to show you.
Mhm. And then we will start a discussion with more guests and previous brothers and sisters we had before, if you don't mind.
Sure.
With you, of course.
Sure, sure. Okay.
Perfect.
So shall I go on?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So, no, this is not the one. So the Kania Pro site, when you go to it, this is what you can see. And we put the information there for technical instructors. There are specific target markets for this technology platform. So we have many instructors or individuals, who have a mission to provide certain types of education. I know we have a sister in the group that focuses on language. We have lots of different individuals who have a message. And so this type of platform is specifically for individuals like that. You would get a customized view, and your particular clientele would have no insight that you are part of a broader platform. It would totally be customized for you. And this is the type of work we've done for GPAN. We're launching a GPAN learning site because we have the executives have identified the need to help new recruits understand what GPAN is all about. There should be a set of courses that everyone is taken through when they join GPAN, so that there is a full understanding of the mission, the purpose, and the projects of the organization. And so we've created this for GPAN. We will fully launch it shortly, but I have to get back with Daniel and the executives on what are all the courses that we want in here, and so on and so forth. So for any type of organization, it's completely your particular view would be completely customized and tailored for your purposes. So we have different types of organizations that we are working for. So
We're looking for the instructors, as I specified. We're looking for organizations like GPAN, nonprofit organizations that have a mission and they're the learning component, as well as we're looking for, companies that need to have a professional development, component, so that they can have an internal instruction platform. Okay, so that is the second component of what I do. Besides the management consulting, it's leveraging the professional development platform. And then one more thing I want to talk about briefly. I know I'm taking a lot of time here. One more thing I want to talk about briefly is one major project that I'm embarking on with many colleagues. And so I am in the process of launching a special platform, a special education platform that really focuses on getting a collection of critical information for us to build our people, for us to have a go-to place to get, information on subjects that are critical to helping our people come together with one purpose and to have a specific reference library. So I started with African history. There's a group of colleagues who are working with me on this project, so we can get out there African history that really spans the continent as well as other places in the diaspora. But really, it's teaching that's coming from our people, for our people, with an authentic reference to our true history. And I'm looking for the same from colleagues from different disciplines, such as economics. There is an incredible need for an understanding of our economic situation. We had some brilliant speakers last week speaking on that, talking about what we should be focused on. What is the foundational knowledge that we need to have? What does the average African, and by African I mean all of us, whether on the continent or spread in the diaspora, what is the average African's understanding of the impacts of the WTO, and the IMF? And how do we combat those things without even having the basic knowledge of the impacts and how things are playing out, and how things are being strategized, and how do we know how we combat those things if we don't have the education? So that is a primary goal for this part. So that's the third part, and I just wanted to share that with you, that this project is underway. And so all of our intellectuals in leadership areas and having an understanding of history, economics, and then I have made the connection into the arts area, so that the images that we're seeing on that platform, the things that we're showing, it's really a brother or a sister for sure that's behind that's benefiting from having that being put out there on the platform, and to make sure that we are representing authenticity of ourselves and our people. So I know I've spoken for a long time. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I get kind of excited when I'm talking about.
I understand. We are all, of course.
So, yeah. Yes. So I will be quiet now and let you.
Not worry, sister. We are family here. So I just would like to introduce someone who's been also waiting to have a share in the Pan-Africanism and bridging the gap between the African continent and the diaspora. I want to introduce Sister Jackie Burnett. If you don't mind, she can join us. Sister Ruth?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Oh,
super.
yes. Yeah.
Super. I need your authorization. Huh? All right. Hi, Sister Jackie Bernard.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for your patience.
That's okay. No problem
Yes.
at all.
So now we will have a discussion about the solutions, about your solutions, what you put in place, and I will add other brothers and sisters who were here previously to join the discussion. So, Sister Jackie, do you have any intake on the subject?
I love what Ruth was talking. Ruth James, nice to meet you, my sister, and the previous speaker with regards to language. And I'm really glad that we are using the opportunity. That's what I feel with the pandemic to come together, and that's what makes my heart beat for joy. That togetherness that is taking place, irrespective of what's going on in the world, like in America. There's some of us that are not getting distracted by that. We're just staying on our game, and that's really really important for myself in Luton. So yeah, I'm an elected member. I'm a politician, so that everybody understands. I've been on the council, Luton Council in Bedfordshire, one of the small counties, since 2007. And what I've always endeavoured to do in Luton is to give a voice to the Black community as well as represent everybody else. So for me, the title being about Africa beyond COVID-19 and the portion of the diaspora is the coming together. It's really, really important that we don't use rhetoric and we do what our elders didn't do. And I've set up in the last 5 years, I set up a committee called the Luton Sankofa Committee, and that was about telling our story. I'm a part qualified accountant, so I love hearing about money, but for myself, yeah, I do. But it's about the community, and one of the things I feel our community has lost, especially in the UK, is that self-sufficiency that the Windrush generation brought with them. So those from the Caribbean and those from Africa that came in the 40s, late 40s, 50s and 60s, they had the self-sufficiency to do for self. And somehow we've lost it. And it's really important that we get that back, because with the changes that are going on, or one could say the reset of the world order, and Europe not having it as good as they might want, and the importance of the significance of Africa as a continent, we must be part of that conversation. So we in the diaspora knows how some people will say our cousins, how the others, how they think, how they behave. And it's important for us in the diaspora are there with our brothers on the continents and sisters, so that we can guide you and the language and the nuance of doing, so you don't get fleeced again. Yeah, because that really would, because I think about the phone. My phone, I spent 4 hours on the phone today trying to get rid of files, and I think 10 years ago or so was the phone so important to me, but how I communicate, family, business, it's so important. But you wouldn't have the phone without Africa. It wouldn't be as sophisticated as it is without Africa. And that's the sort of thing I think that is really, really important. And I know for in the UK, given the systematic structural racism that exists, there was a time when I think generation by me thought that racism didn't exist. It's not there. It was what our elders or the older generation experienced. But with Brexit, and so Britain coming out of the EU, a lot of things that was covert, that was hidden, has come out, and it's like, oh my God, this is what I heard my elders experience. How come I'm experiencing? This is what you're hearing the youth are going through it. I even had a friend of the family, so she's in her 30s, say to me, I never thought I would have to have the conversations that I had with my children. These are teenagers. I thought once they were just bright and good enough and good, that was okay, because they thought racism wasn't really an issue in Britain and in Europe. So my language now is, you know what, We've built many tables. Yeah, we've built the British Empire, we've built Europe, we've built America, we've built South America. It's time now that we build our own and we build the continent. We need to build Africa and we need to build the Caribbean. I think all of the Caribbean shouldn't have the Queen as a head of state. Actually, I think they should all be Republicans because that would say that you decide your own destiny. But there's a lot of healing we've got to do. But for me right now, the next generation, my generation, there's once we're of working age, money is key. Money is key. We were enslaved for money. We were enslaved to capitalism. Yeah, end of. Because you see, some of our people, I don't know about anywhere else, Britain, the black community in the churches will say, well, I'm not doing politics. I don't want to talk about politics. That stays outside the church. But it was politics that enslaved us. It was politics that colonized us. And it's really important that we have those conversations. There's no longer a time we're in that we can avoid having those uncomfortable conversations because we have to have it now. Now is the time where we have to have it. So those are just what I'm thinking that I just wanted to share, that the African continent needs the diaspora. Yeah, they need us, but in working together, we must work together in love. One is no better than the other. We've all got our traumas that we've experienced at the hands of the Europeans and the Arab slave trade. So we are important to mankind. They need us and we mustn't be used anymore. So that's the sort of thing I would like to start off in the discussion. Is that okay, Wendy?
Yes, of
I
course.
hope I've stayed on point.
Sorry, say again?
I hope I've stayed on point.
Yes,
I stayed
yes,
on
of
what
course,
the
you
message
did.
meant. I might
You did.
use some
And
slang that's not I try and avoid the British slangs, some of them.
yeah, but you did well. You did
Yeah,
well.
thank you. Excellent.
Brother Ismaila, do you have anything to add? Do you have any options to bridge the gap between the diaspora and the African continent? Hi, brother.
Thank you so much for having me here. I am so glad to be part and parcel of great Africans like you guys who are trying. Yes, can you hear me? I'm
Now,
speaking.
yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much once again for having me here to be part and parcel of African great scholars who are trying to reshape and redefine the continent so as to bridge the gap between the Africans and the diaspora. Basically, if we are to talk about Africa, one has to be historically conscious about the continent. One has to look at Africa 400 years ago. How are we living as a continent 400 years ago before the coming of the Europeans in the continent? And into what business are we venturing into, or do we venture as Africans 400 years ago? So basically, one will understand that Africa, we supply knowledge to the world, because when we look at the history, we understand that Africa is the home of human civilization. And for that being the case, we supply knowledge to the world. We supply civilization to the world. So in this 21st century, if we have people who came to Africa 400 years ago, they crippled down the continent, disunite its people, and looted its resources in the name of friendship. Because when a white man came to Africa 400 years ago in the early 15th century, the mentality and the philosophy they have on Africans was how to make Africans to think and behave like them. The first thing they do was to control, to colonize our mindset. And in any setting, if
connection. I think it's very slow. Where is that? Sister Unati, do you have any you knew I was thinking about you. Do you have anything to add?
Thank you so much, Sister Wendy,
Pleasure.
again for having me. You know, me, I'm a big mental health advocate, and I have created uh, a platform. More especially, I'm focusing on men. You know, there's something Angie said, as women, we have that innate in us for caring and all that stuff. So I'm doing this because I find globally, I live in Canada. I thought it was only just in Africa that men are expected to man up, to show up and be strong. But you know what? It's a global phenomenon. In all cultures, we see it. But I would like to call upon other women to, you know, to stand up for our men, because we are raising boys, and that mentality that they can't be depressed or we think that they should be strong. It starts with the fact that our boys were also exposed to wars in Africa, even just PTSD that we don't talk about in the African space. And even in the diaspora, we're seeing African people, they're committing suicide. So we need to go back there. Coming space. As we know, in the United States of Africa, we have a platform. People who don't know about the Black mental health matters, I would like you to tune in to that. We do it every Saturday. We talk about everything that matters to us Africans, because mental illnesses have been around over 400 years. It's something we never really explored. And I think part of it, as Africans before the colonization, probably it was right in the shadow, because we always did things together and supported each other. That village concept of we are one and we've always done things as one. But now, with all what's evolving in the countries or globally, we have learned to live separate lives, and now it's becoming evident. So indeed, I am here advocating for men to seek mental health support, and women in their lives to probably move from that mentality of you have to be strong, you have to show up. Men need to be vulnerable. We want to see men seeking, because in the stats, it's mostly men that are committing suicide. And if you look at the World Health Organization, it's mostly the age 15 to 29. We are using youth. We are losing our youth. This is not only directed to Africans, but we are losing young people to suicide. And part of it, us Africans, we don't talk about it. We think it's for a white man. This is about time that we own our emotions and also seek mental health support. There's so much trauma that happened in Africa, even abroad, the post-slavery syndrome. So we need people to look into that and seek help. It has nothing to do with being weak, being vulnerable. It's going to your core and needing the help you need. Thank you so much, Sister Wendy.
Pleasure, pleasure. See, Brother Ismaila, do you want to continue?
Yes, thank you so much. I was having some internet connection in my area here. You know, that's why I was kind of interrupted. So basically, what I am explaining was how do we bridge the gap between Africans in the home and that of in the diaspora. So basically, as African people, we need to be historically conscious. We need to know where we came from. We need to know the mile that we have taken during colonial era to where we are today. So basically, as Africans, we need to venture into business, you know, that will be in the interest of Africa. We need to look at certain things out we also need to look at our relationship with the West. How do we trade with the West without being victimized? How do we trade with the West without being losing in that trade? So basically, Africans must come together and we must understand that, you know, those in the diaspora and in the Africa in the home, we are all one people, we are all the same people. Despite that we are disconnected by the West. So it is time for Africans, for us to bridge that gap, that connection. We come together, speak with one voice, see each other as one people, one fight, one family, and fighting for a common cause. So basically, this is what I have asked for now.
All right.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And Sister Miriam, do you have something to say on that subject?
I always have a lot to say, my
Yes.
sister.
Go for it.
I never shy away from a moment. It could be my last.
None of us. Go for it.
And lovely to meet you, ladies and gents. But yes, I think I will agree with Ismail. His network is giving him problems to a certain extent. But I'll go back to what I said earlier. The solutions that we need are in Africa. And for many a time, we look at the West. And yes, the West has got comforts. It's given the perception of comforts. But you know, even connecting with what Dr. Onati is saying about mental health, the constant worry of saying, what if I die here? And the people that surround me are not my biological family. They are friends just out of necessity. But all my past upbringing and my connections are spread all over the diaspora. And then if I go home, there's a statement, you can never go home again, because you go home and the people that you used to know are no longer there. So, and you look at the colonial past, as Ismail has indicated, I think we use that as an excuse for too many times, on too many occasions, as Africans, because everyone is unique for their era. You can do, if you look at some of the achievements those colonizers made. I like an example of Cecil John Rhodes. He was sent to Africa by his parents because of poor health. He was asthmatic. The asthma treatments were not as advanced as they are today. So he was sent for his health as a 17-year-old boy. And they were the Dutch, the Germans, and versus the English in the colonial Southern Africa. But he then devised a plan, created a front, which was a Dutch sounding name, born out of British South Africa Company, as someone who landed as a sickling. And he left a legacy that is still sponsoring students at Oxford University and several other universities, the Rhodes Foundation, the Oppenheimers, you know, and he was a sickly 17-year-old. And that is his story, and he created his legacy despite or in spite of the odds that were against him. So we dwell too much on the colonial wrongs, but that was legal for that era. And yet we are in this era, we have so many gifts inherent in each one of us, but we spend more time on things we don't have control over. What happened 2 minutes ago is already history. You can never change it. What's going to happen tomorrow, we don't know. We could die tomorrow. But what we have control over is the current. What am I imparting onto my children after I'm gone? What is their standing? What is their global presence? Are they going to be viewing themselves a descendant of a disadvantaged Black woman? Or are they going to be viewing themselves as a global citizen who can go to any part of the world and excel? So it's a mindset shift that is needed. And we need to harness that kind of thinking sooner rather than later. And that's just my thinking, Sister Wendy.
That's good. That's good. Interesting, Sister Ruth. Do you think that's how you work with the businesses to bridge that gap also?
A little, but I think my perspective might be slightly different. So what I see happening right now is that we are overwhelmingly engaged
with trying to get a seat at someone else's table. And I'm going to say that that is never going to happen. And I'm going to say that that is not desirable. And I'm going to say that what we need to be doing is creating our own table.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that, I'm going to say that the way you do that, I'm in technology, but most of my time now is in management and specifically project management. So I'm all about execution. I can list, we need to plan. Don't get me wrong. Planning is essential because with the planning, you're looking out for the roadblocks, you're looking out for the things that will trip you up, and you are making contingency plans to deal with those things when they come up. So the planning is critical. But when we don't have any execution, we still don't have a product in the end. So I am very focused on execution. And what execution looks like to me for our situation is that right now we have a lot of Africans. And when I say Africans, I mean our brothers and sisters on the continent and all of us in the diaspora. So let me make sure that it's really clear when I say Africans, that's what I mean. So we have a lot of Africans with a lot of spending power. We do. We have a lot of Africans in poverty, but we have a lot of Africans with a lot of spending power. But how are we creating that pipeline so we make sure that that spending power stays in our community? Now, back a while ago, we talked about reflections of 400 years ago, and times past. And in times past, our tribe was our family that we could see within our local area. That's our tribe. But the thinking of the modern African has to be that our tribe is all of us now. Now we have one tribe. We have one tribe, and that tribe is spread across the continent and the diaspora. So, what are the specific things that we're doing to make sure that there's communication among the tribe, that there is a plan among the tribe, that we have the conduits for making the execution happen? So I look at it like when I will know we have gotten to somewhere when the average African looks at any good or service and asks, well, where's the African one? If I want some shoes and I'm looking at some shoes, I need to be wondering, but where's the African one? Because what you have to think, and I get it, sister, about being able to go anywhere and thrive. But we Africans, we have a specific situation. We have a situation where everywhere has thrived off of our backs. So me going to buy some exorbitantly priced Gucci something is not cool for me, for my way of thinking. Why do I need to spend that money on an Italian designer? Where is the African one? So for me, until all of us start to have that mentality of, but where is the African one? This literally has to become second nature for us, where whatever we're looking at, we're going, but where is the African one? Because I can guarantee you there is an African one and it is of superb quality. And that is another thing that we have to combat, that mindset, because there's another set of people continuing to say how our things are not of quality. And I'm sure that we have people who are hustling and, the stuff is not really up to par, but I can guarantee you there's some other stuff somewhere that is more than up to par. And we need to be asking ourselves, where is the African one? And when we start doing that consistently, I think that is what will help us to make sure that we are bridging, we are kind of bridging the gap. And these kinds of forums, I always say thank you to Daniel. Daniel and I started off in an interesting way. There was some trading of some, back and forth. Well, what is this thing you're doing here? And who are these people? And I didn't like this thing that came across in my feed. And I was a kind of a feisty one at first. I was trying to understand what, I wanted to be part of something and I wanted to help. But there's a lot of noise. And then I had to come to terms with the fact that our people are in different stages of healing, understanding. Everybody's in different stages. So there's going to be a lot of noise, but we can't get distracted by the noise and discouraged by the noise because everybody's not in the same place. That's okay. And so I got used to the noise and I just started focusing on, let me find the people who are like-minded, who we can bond and we can get something going. And there will be people who will be later, adopters and people who will come in later. But for now, let's see if we can find that core group of people who understand the vision and who have the passion and who want to come together and put some things together and make it happen. That's what you call leadership. And every single person isn't there yet. So we can't panic every time we notice that, well, that one over there, because there's always going to be that one over there.
Yes. And I really think we should, because of the noise, and that's true, there's so many things going on. Everyone is waking up, but in different ways. We should just focus on, okay, I'm busy with mind health. Okay, mind health. I'm busy with physical health. I'm busy with agriculture. You see what I mean? Because there's and this is just different parts of the same body. But if you focus on the hand, the head, the hair, the toes, you go crazy, So I really think yes, sister.
No, I just want to say, feeding off following on what Wendy's saying and what you're saying, what we haven't managed to achieve here, and I think is where we're going into. Some of us are focusing on that. It's like when you're going to war, because it's the art of war. Everybody needs to know their role that they play within winning the war. And each of us don't know yet. We're starting to come together to know the roles that we play. So some will be the captain, some will be the lieutenant, some will be the archery, but we don't know yet where we are in that. And I think that's the feeling I'm getting now with what Daniel's doing, with the Black Lives Matter movement. All of that is like a gathering is taking place. Yes, so we're learning. Because now I learned Daniel, I've met Ruth, I've met all these people that half an hour ago I was downstairs cooking that I didn't know you all. Now I've got you now. You know what I mean? There's a gathering taking place of like-minded people. So I would say with Ruth that there is action taking place, and you are right, because when I started the Sankofa back in 2015, when I got onto the council's cabinet, I said I can't commemorate the falling of the transatlantic slave trade, but others can commemorate their own. So I put a call out, a few like-minded people came together, and for 4 years we commemorated the transatlantic slave trades, going back to what Ismaila was saying. And also we started to retell the story, because a lot of us don't know the story in the diaspora prior to the 400 years. So I found my calling, and it's just come off to one thing and then another. So we did the event, and then we started to tell the story, and then last year it was Ghana's year of return, and it was like, wow, this is brilliant. There was the preparation going on, but I didn't see tomorrow when Miriam was going. I can't see tomorrow, but what I can do today, because today might feed in tomorrow. And then Ghana did the year of return. Some people in Luton was ready for that, ready for the conversation, ready for Ghana to unpick. And now Black Lives Matter happened. So if we didn't do that, the history, I couldn't have seen where my role was in that. I tell you straight, I couldn't tell you where my role was, but I knew I had to do something. And I think in this gathering, we're each doing our role in the war. We just don't know what it is. And I just wanted to come in. What we lack is connectivity. We're not connected. We don't know where it is. So if we had a disaster tomorrow, we wouldn't know quickly where to go. And I get the feeling that's what's taking place. We're starting to know where people are beyond the boundaries and where we live physically. And that is a beautiful thing. So I just wanted to come in and say that. Thank you, Wendy.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Wendy, if
Yes,
you
of
will
course.
allow me. It's such a profound statement on the importance of history, but realization of what to do in the now. And then the last statement you mentioned, I think that's the critical aspect. And I think if we listen to Dr. Arikana, those are some of her wishes as she vocalizes the wealth that Africa represents. But where are the powerful connections that make things happen? We have several of these fora that we discuss and we express our desires. But how do we take it forward with each of us in our various clusters or in a even as individuals? Where is the drive? Because that is echoed, that lack of connectivity, Cape to Cairo. You've got other Africans seeing themselves more as Middle Easterns, and then when you look at the geography of the land, Africa, there's so many theories to prove that Africa is the origins of who everybody is. And then when you extend to that single tribe, like Sister Ruth mentioned, that tribe should not forget our African American and our Afro-Caribbean brothers and sisters. I lived in America, and because of some aspects of that history, it hampered our relationship, our ability to bond and connect. So you would find Africans connecting more with white folk, which there's nothing wrong with that. We are all human beings, but to the detriment of the relationship with our African Americans that have got such a painful history. So some of us that were born on the continent may not understand the constant. If you look at the Bible Belt, so the evangelical area is the most oppressive of our African American brothers and sisters. So where is the connection outside of the return? I've got African American friends that made that journey to Ghana last year, and when you talk to them, they are passionate. They want to see change, and they've got movements. So where is our gap to connecting the dots and to connecting the relationships into an effective? Because there's one voice there, another there, and obviously African Union has let us all down. And can we not take them on and make the African Union that we choose, not the one that is prescribed? It's totally different from the Organization of African Unity that our founding fathers, fostered. This one is like a puppet of God knows who. So thank you very much for provoking such thoughts. And I think this is a conversation I'd love to continue off air.
Yes, of
So
course.
I'm more than happy to.
So, Sister Miriam and Sister Jackie, I was actually born in Luton, Bedfordshire. And I come from, I think I may have been 10 or 12 when I finally lost the accent. It took a while. And so my family is from the Caribbean island of Dominica. Right. And I kind of grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands, though. So there's that American part. And then I lived all of my adult life in America. So my mission that I have, you are uniquely given what you need to execute your particular mission. Right. So my glue mission, and I am dead serious about that education platform, because I feel like that is a critical piece of it. That is a critical piece of it. Getting a place where people can assemble and get current critical information from across the globe, from the best minds that we have in our tribe, from across the globe with the historical component as well as the current component. And that's where I'm looking for the people who can speak to economics and who can speak to what should we be focusing on. So this is what's going on in the UK. Well, you know, the brothers and sisters who are located, our tribe who's located in that area, look, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this, and this is how you need to counter it. So that platform where people can actually learn self-identity from history, but strategy from the current stuff that's going on, I see it as critical. And again, because of my background being so circular and having real, you know, roots and live contacts with different, you know, later cultural manifestations for our people in the Americas, the Caribbean, and North America, and my little connection to Britain. And I have a whole host of family who's still there, and I have a whole host of nieces and nephews who wouldn't know anything about any other country than Britain. I do feel like for this role that I've been given, that's impressed on my heart, to the information gathering and dissemination, I feel like I have what I need to do that. And I think every one of us, that critical mission that we have, we already have what we need to do it. It's just the recognition and the surrendering to doing it.
All right, perfect. Sisters and brothers, if you had one, let's say 3 words, it's going to be difficult. 3 words to say to the family, to send out there, and to encourage them to connect to our people, the Black businesses, to the continent and everything. What would you say?
I would say I need you.
Okay, that's a good one. Yes. Sister Jackie?
I would say we are one. Wakanda.
Wakanda.
Yeah, we are one.
Yes. Perfect. Sister Miriam?
Yeah. 3 words you said. Yeah, you're right. It's difficult. I would say leave now. LIVE now. Leave now.
Wow, that's nice. Brother Ismaila, you with us? Yes.
He's on mute.
Oh, let's see if I can help him. All right. Yes, the brother.
Yes, thank you so much, Wendy. I'm following the conversation. I'm experiencing a bad internet connection in my area here, you know. But basically, I will still talk about African business. You know, it is very clear to us that no country can develop in the absence of business.
Brother
business
Ismaila?
is a key.
Yes, I was asking 3 words.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, but we are closing. So I will let Brother Benjamin talk a little bit, because he was also struggling with the bad connection. But can you, in 3 words, send a message to all Africans on the earth to tell them to recognize, to connect with the family?
What I will say is all the diasporans, because I believe those who are on the ground in Africa is not a problem, but those who are outside Africa is the main problem. That is what we are trying to do to break the connection. But what I will say here is that you, Ruth James and Jackie, everybody who are in the diaspora, to come back home. You feel like home. Africa is the only place for us. You know, no matter how long a stick stay in the river, it will never be a fish. No matter how long we stay outside Africa, we will never be like them. So let's come back home.
Yes,
thank you.
That's right. Pleasure. Brother Benjamin, do you want to say a short word, please?
Yes, what I want to add is that the disconnect between Africa and our brothers in the diaspora need to be reconnected. And that can be reconnected through inter-family connection and relationship. Many of the families in the diaspora should begin to recognize or identify a family in Africa and begin to connect for a long-term kind of rebuilding the back home philosophy. Because if we really ensure that kind of connection, you in Bahamas or St. Lucia or St. Vincent or Trinidad and Tobago would say, look, I have a family in Kenya, I have a family in Nigeria. And the one in Africa will also say, I have a family there. And that connection will be there and it will grow to rebuild and close the gap between Africans home and in diaspora. And together, we can pursue our common objective of prosperous and a wealthy society once again. Thank you.
All right, pleasure. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you, families, sisters, brothers. Thank you very much for your time, for your participation. And yes, I wish the best to the African continent, the descendants of slaves, and that we can reconnect. I cannot say this in English. Reconnect. That's hard. All together and be one. That's the ultimate goal, and we will succeed. We will succeed. All right, family. I wish you a good evening or a good afternoon. It depends where you are.
Thank you so much.
We see you very soon on the channel. Thanks
Thank
again.
Bye all. Bye. Have a good week.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
you all.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.